Radio check, loud and clear. Thank you everyone for tuning in and welcome along to the coverage here in Mexico City. We are at round number 20 of 24 on the Formula One calendar, and we have got Lando Norris starting in first position, Charles Leclerc in second, and Lewis Hamilton in third on our starting grid. And we've got quite the interesting quote from Lewis Hamilton to start off the build-up. Let's start off with this. And Lewis Hamilton's approach on the start of the race here in Mexico City, he says, "I have nothing to lose," and Lando Norris does. So this is going to be pretty exciting going in towards turn number one if Hamilton's taking this approach. Of course, in towards turn number one, Lando Norris will be on the left-hand side of the circuit, Charles Leclerc on the right-hand side, and from pole position in towards the braking zone of turn number one, there is 830 meters of racing and 830 meters of slipstreaming that you can do on the drivers ahead of you to make some overtakes. So we shall see how it goes, but Lando Norris will be there on the left, and Lewis Hamilton will be tucked right in there behind him, and then of course we'll have George Russell tucked right behind Charles Leclerc. Okay. So we have got already 3,000 people tuning into the live stream. That is fantastic. And we'll come back to that quote a little bit later, but we do have quite the few more statistics to run through. So let's run through those. Firstly, we have got the tyre information. The tyre strategy recommended by Pirelli today looks to be a one-stop strategy, but this is all, of course, dependent on track temperature. So they recommend and they think starting the race on a set of medium tyres and then going on to the softs will be the fastest possible strategy, and that will only work if track temperatures are below 45 or maybe 43 degrees Celsius. If it is above that range, then the medium tyres onto the hard tyres will actually be the quicker strategy. And then, of course, you can reverse strategy number one to get strategy number three, where you start the race on the softs, get a fantastic launch, maybe overtake some drivers in towards turn number one, and then have your longer stint on the medium tyres. Strategy 4 is just another option or an alternative to strategy 2, where your hard tyres last really, really long around here in Mexico. They have brought a step harder than they normally do, and because of that, we are going to have, the option of strategy number 4, where you start the race on the softs, go onto the hards around about lap number 20, and go right till the end of the race. And the final strategy number 5, is start the race on the softs, go on to the mediums, and then go on to the softs again, which could work, but you will probably need some safety cars to help you out in terms of timing all of these pit stops, because around here in Mexico City, we have got a 22-second pit stop time. As you can see, there are 22 seconds between if you take a pit stop in green flag conditions, and you lose only 12 seconds if you take a pit stop under safety car or virtual safety car conditions. So you do gain a full 10 seconds pretty much under safety car or VSC, and given that the race here is, given that the race here is pretty tough on the engines and the reliability side of things, we may be getting some VSCs because of drivers DNFing on the side of the track. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, what race to watch it with the Austrian VPN? It's Service TV, folks, Service TV. This penalty that you can see here to the top right, Carlos Sainz has got a 5-place grid penalty. That is because he drove into Kimi Antonelli during the race at the USGP and got handed a 5-place grid penalty for that collision. So we do have a 71% chance of a virtual safety car. Looking at the previous 7 years, we also have a 43% chance of a normal safety car, and then of course a 14% chance of a red flag. But we'll see how it goes. The weather looks nice and sunny, no rain in sight, and track temperatures are dependent on the cloud situation. Looking at the race pace, we can still see that the McLaren team is the quickest team in terms of race pace. The Red Bulls did get closer, so this is the updated information from the Free Practice 3 long runs rather than the Free Practice 2 long runs. And we can see the Red Bull did gain about half a tenth on the McLaren in terms of race pace, but their one lap pace they had to sacrifice to do so. So yeah, that was sort of, we could see that yesterday with Max being half a second off Lando Norris and just could not put a lap together at the end. And yeah, we'll get on to talking about Oscar Piastri a little bit later on. But yeah, it will be quite the exciting race, to say the least, with the Ferrari starting on the front row. Well, at least Charles Leclerc starting on the front row. So yeah, let's see. Why is it still written Q3? We'll be getting the race data coming through in about 10 minutes time or so. So just hang in there till we get the race data. And yeah, a couple of other things to sort of note that during the race, the soft tyres are a quarter of a second faster per lap than the mediums, and they are around 1 full second faster than the hards during a race lap. So, you know, if you are on soft tyres trying to overtake someone on hards, it should be relatively straightforward as long as your pace is similar, because you'll have that extra 1 second from the soft tyres. And that's going to make strategy choices a little bit hard. I think the hard tyre will, again, be a little bit uncomfortable for the teams to use. It's not the optimal tyre around here in terms of just how slow it is. It's a full second slower than the hards, and it's, 7/10 of a second slower than the medium, so it's not really the best choice. But the reason why they may go for the hards is, as you can see here, for the tyre degradation. So every single lap, these Pirelli tyres get slower, and you know, if they're the soft tyres, over the course of 1 lap you will lose 1/10 of performance. Over the course of 2 laps on a set of medium tyres, you'll lose 1/10 of performance, and over the course of 5 laps for the hard tyres, you'll lose 1/10 of performance. So the hard tyres are pretty much 5 times as durable as the soft tyres around this circuit, especially when the conditions get super duper hot. So we may see some teams taking a gamble. You know, if there is a safety car right at the start of the race, we could see some teams say, oh, if there's a safety car, we might as well put on some hard tyres and try to stretch the whole race out on one set of tyres. It could work, but of course, it's all yet to be seen. And we've seen some fantastic tyre management strategies around here in Mexico before. I think Hamilton has done some pretty good ones in 2019. I think on a few other occasions as well, we have had some very good tyre management from folks around here. Another thing that I would like to mention, actually, I don't know if it's up here on the screen or where I've put it. Oh no, it must be on the other slides. So we have got this is what it is. Oh, it's a little bit too big. Let me make that a bit smaller. But this is just a little piece of information to sort of show you which driver started on pole position, which driver got into turn number 1 and won the race in towards turn 1 and then gone on to win the race. So with the exception of 2019 and 2024, whichever driver got to turn 1 first, went on to win the race. That is how it is worked out here in Mexico very, very frequently. So you do not want to be missing this race start. It could be Norris, it could be Leclerc, it could be Hamilton for all we know. It's going to be super duper interesting to see who does get that, wins the race in towards turn number 1, and if they can hang on to the lead. Ferrari will have a lot of lifting and coasting issues. I think that they sort of alluded to that a little bit later on after the qualifying had finished, and they talked about their chances during the race. But yeah, they will have to deal with a lot of lifting and coasting, so we'll see how that works out for the Ferrari team. Another stat that I sort of want to draw your attention towards is the gap between qualifying performance from last year's Mexico GP to this year's Mexico GP. You can see Racing Bulls have improved by their biggest margin. 0.9 of a second is how much they've improved. Williams also a huge upward trajectory for them, and that is one of my key reasons for putting Williams as one of the best teams for 2026. Just this upward trajectory that they constantly bring into all of their upgrade packages, which I think is a fantastic sign. McLaren, of course, did also have quite the big range of improvements, but Alpine have got slower by 0.6 of a second over the course of one season. I don't know exactly how they have done that. But it's not like any other team is even close to them. Aston Martin improved by half a tenth. Aston Martin didn't bring too many big upgrade packages, so not really too surprised there. But Alpine have got slower by 0.6 of a second, which is just outright ridiculous, to be honest. And they are extremely cooked, to say the least. These past couple of races. We'll see how the Ferrari cycle goes if we continue on in the we are so back phase, but I have a feeling that we may be encountering some absolute depression when Charles Leclerc gets told over the radio that he's going to have to lift and coast quite significantly. All right. Is the race delayed? No, it is not. It is starting in 54 minutes, as you can see there just below me. That is when the race is planned to get underway. Okay, a few other things to talk about. A few people have just asked why has Carlos Sainz got that penalty. He's got a penalty because he crashed into Antonelli at the previous Grand Prix in America, and it resulted in him DNFing, and then of course, he didn't score. Yeah. He didn't get a penalty, like 5-second time penalty added on, because he just DNF'd from the race, and hence they decided that a 5-place grid penalty for him this weekend would be much, much more suitable. Okay, where to watch the race this week? It is Service TV, folks. Service TV is the place to watch the race this weekend, and yeah. All right, so if you speak to me every lap, I'll disconnect the radio. Yeah, that was Fernando Alonso, wasn't it? That came over the radio to say that Alonso wasn't having too much fun. Did he say that? I don't know when he said it, but he did say it this season. And yeah, the pace of Aston Martins this weekend hasn't been great. He did again out-qualify Stroll, which is not really a surprise, but Fernando Alonso did have not much luck getting his way in towards Q3. The other thing that I would like to mention is the gap between Isaac Hadjar and Liam Lawson during qualifying yesterday was the biggest gap between two teammates. Hadjar in 9th with a 1:16.2 and Lawson with a 1:18.0. That's nearly a 1.8 second gap there. But the drivers with the second biggest gap, so the two teammates with the second biggest gap on the grid, are actually Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. 0.6 of a second was the gap between them yesterday. And yeah, the pace difference can't really be explained by one singular thing. There are, of course, a lot of different contributing factors to Oscar Piastri's lack of pace. But one thing I would like to tell you, folks, is that during the 2023 Mexican GP, Oscar Piastri started the race in 7th and finished in 8th. In the 2024 Mexican GP, I think he started in 17th and still finished in 8th position only. And this race, he also starts in 8th position. The previous two Grand times he has finished in 8th. Will we have a hat-trick of 8th positions for Oscar Piastri in at the Mexican Grand Prix? I hope not. I'd very much like to see the title championship go right down to the wire. But it's not been all that amazing from Piastri so far this weekend. Let's see if we have got the race data coming through. Indeed we have. Fantastic. So let me just put that up on the screen, and there you can see Carlos Sainz has been moved down from 7th position down into 12th. I shall also get rid of this. Give me a sec. Okay. And the key thing here, folks, oh my goodness me, track temperature has just gone up to 50 degrees Celsius, 51 degrees Celsius. This is the hottest it has been all weekend long. So what does that mean? We are probably, well, we could get a two-stop strategy, but in terms of if we're going to do a one-stop, the strategy that the teams are going to pick is most likely going to be strategy number 2 there. With such high track temperatures, it's going to be very, very difficult to go mediums onto softs. Just stretching those medium tires out for 40 or 50 laps is going to be super duper difficult. And for that reason, I think we're going to start off with the mediums and then go on to the hard tires, because the tire wear is going to be pretty high around here. Not good news for Team Red. Indeed, it is not. It's also not good news for Max Verstappen, and it's also not fantastic news for the Mercedes team. It just looks good for McLaren, which for Lando Norris's perspective, that's brilliant. For Piastri trying to make up some places moving up the field, that is also brilliant. For Max Verstappen's championship hopes, not so much. So just to sort of explain what was going on with Max Verstappen yesterday and what the issues were a little bit with his tyre temperature and his warm-up procedure and all of these things is, around here in Mexico, you've got a few different sort of compounding factors. The first thing is that the track is super duper smooth, silky smooth compared to many other racetracks, which firstly doesn't build a lot of tyre temperature as you're driving in a straight line. Because it is so smooth, there's very, very low friction, and because there's low friction, there's less heat. And then the next thing is that we also have 25% thinner air, which then means that all of the cars have got 25% less downforce than expected. And that means the cars and the tyres aren't being pushed into the ground as much either. So if you do look at a formula of friction, so when you go calculate the amount of force that you get from friction, the first thing that you look at is how rough is the surface that you're analyzing your calculations for. Obviously, if you're going over ice, it's super duper smooth and your surface roughness is super low. And then you also look at how much force you're applying downwards. So both of those things in the friction calculation are abnormally low here in Mexico City, which then leads to not enough tyre temperature being built up on the surface of the tyre, and then that temperature from the surface not emanating inwards towards the core of the tyre. So for the tyres to give maximum possible grip, the surface temperature and also the core temperature have to be sort of aligned properly. But here in Mexico City, some cars can build up enough tyre temperature, some cars cannot build enough tyre temperature, and some cars can only build it in the surface and then it doesn't get transferred into the actual core, the centre of the tyre, which then leads to, again, a mismatch of grip. So that was the problem that Max Verstappen was facing. The surface wasn't rough enough, there wasn't enough downforce squeezing down on the car, and then also there weren't that many high-speed corners to actually build up that the tyre temperature. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one. And also, if Max tries to do an undercut strategy, then he's going to have problems coming out of the pit lane because his tyres will not be up to temperature and it'll be like driving around on ice. That's exactly what he said, I think, in FP2 when he was complaining about the tyres just not having any grip. And it wasn't necessarily the front tyres or the rear tyres. Neither of the tyres had any sort of grip, according to Max Verstappen. And if he tries to warm up his tyres too harshly, too quickly, as you would try to do in an undercut strategy, it's not going to work for Max, and he'll maybe have one good lap of flying performance or two flying laps of good performance, and then on the third lap his tyres are going to fall off a cliff. So he will have to, the Red Bull engineers will have still worked overnight, try to work out an optimal tyre warm-up procedure if there is such a thing that they can try to get their tyres to work. But yeah, it's going to be tough there for Max to get those tyres up in the correct window. Does he read chat? Indeed, I do. I do read chat occasionally, but it does go by reasonably quickly as well. Max has done P17 to P1 before. Don't just lose hope. Yeah, no, of course. I'm sure Red Bull will have some tricks up their sleeve. Whether they'll work or not is yet to be seen. And, maybe Max Verstappen, he was friends with Charles Leclerc last race where Leclerc held up Lando Norris for Max Verstappen, shall we say, in a very, very big way for about half the race. So maybe, Leclerc's going to help out Max Verstappen again and just go send one to the inside of Lando Norris and take him out. Who knows what will happen into turn number 1. It is always so unpredictable. Right. What is the minimum position Max needs to get to still have a shot at the championship? He'll still have a shot at the championship, even if he finishes dead last. But the problem is that it will then become very, very difficult for it to actually happen and him to actually go on to win. It's still mathematically possible for George Russell as well to win the championship, but, nobody's talking about his championship chances. So right now, with 40 points being the gap to Oscar Piastri, he's got to close that points gap, I'd say, to around 30 points, maybe to still have a shot to win the championship by the end of the season. Yeah, 30 points would be the ideal scenario, bring that from 40 to 30. It doesn't really so much matter to Lando Norris what the gap is, unless, of course, Norris becomes championship leader. And Max just needs to be less than 30 points away from the championship leader to have a good shot at the title with these final few races left to go. The track is on fire indeed. Now it's gone up to 53 degrees Celsius, so it's just getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And, well, it's going to be good news for some and bad news for others. I'll quickly just show you what the cooling situation looks like. The McLaren cooling situation is reasonably interesting, actually. I did not think that they would have such a... Have I got the image loaded up? I can't remember, actually. Oh, yeah, here we go. So these are the cooling louvres that they've got on the cars, and you can see Alpine, Aston Martin, Mercedes, they've all got huge ones. And you know, the characteristic of the ones at the bottom is that they've got loads of small holes in them, whereas the Ferrari has just got 4 absolutely enormous holes in them. The Red Bull has also got 4 absolute massive holes in them, and you can literally see through the holes, look at the Honda logo through the branding. But McLaren, interestingly enough, have only got 4 very, very small cooling ducts, and then this one sort of big gaping hole as well. Ferrari, on the other hand, have got 4 big cooling ducts, and then their duct is on the top side. McLaren's is on the lower side of their engine cover. But yeah, I don't know if that's going to be sufficient cooling for McLaren. Of course, they've done their calculations and they expect that it'll be fine, but did they expect that it was going to be this hot here in Mexico? I don't know. We have had one mechanical DNF for Lando Norris back in Zandvoort. Maybe that could strike again. Maybe it could be Oscar Piastri this time. Who knows what will happen? But Mexico has got a track record of causing quite a few cars to DNF during the race. Okay. Any of the Americans watching, 53 degrees Celsius is 127 freedom units. So if you're wondering, then there you go. Wind is, it's gusting about a little bit moments ago. It was at 10 kilometers per hour. Now it's down to 6 kilometers per hour. Will be another thing to consider going in towards turn number 1. If the wind is a headwind, so it's blowing along the start-finish straight in this direction, it'll allow the drivers to brake that little bit later. If it's a tailwind and it's blowing this way around, then the drivers are going to have to brake a little bit earlier. But they'll be told that on the formation lap or just before the formation lap begins about which direction the wind is blowing from and how they should take that into account. All right. How much lift and coast do you see happening today? Well, lifting and coast is a thing that Ferrari have done at this, all throughout the season. It's not been ideal for them, but here in Mexico, lifting and coast happens for all of the different cars because it is such a strenuous circuit, not only on the tires, but also on the engine. So lifting and coasting firstly helps the engine sort of stay under temperature. You're not always putting it under stress as you're going down the start-finish straight. And the other thing is, you can, if you lift off the power as you're going down the start-finish straight, and then you jump onto the brakes, it sort of eases the tires into slowing down a little bit. So it's actually quite interesting. If you're going full power on the Formula 1 cars and then you lift off while you're going at 300 Ks, 320 kilometers per hour, you actually get shot forward. There's 1 G's worth of deceleration just from lifting off the power. And then when you slam on the brakes, you get the extra 4G, 5G to bring it up to a total of 6 G's of deceleration going into the braking zone. But that extra little lifting and coast also helps the tyre situation massively. And we'll see some teams, of course, lifting and coasting for fuel's sake, but we will also see some teams lifting and coasting for their tyre sake. We'll see some drivers moving out of the slipstream to make sure that they can get some cooler, fresher air onto their car to allow to make sure that they don't overheat. And yeah, the other thing is, folks, on their dashboard, actually, the drivers will have a sort of temperature gauge or a temperature warning. So in the middle will be good enough temperature. So it is optimal conditions to carry on going, and you don't have to cool down the engine or warm it up. It's at the right temperature. But let's say it moves ever so slightly to the right-hand side. That indicates to the driver that, oh no, the engine temperature is slightly too high now. And at this moment in time, maybe down the next straight, they're going to have to pull out of the slipstream to make sure that they can cool the engine back down again. And then on the flip side, of course, if the engine temperature is slightly lower than what the optimal or the perfect temperature is, then what the drivers will do, they'll stick in the slipstream, they'll stick in the dirty air of the driver ahead to warm up the engine. Well, not warm up the engine, but they know that they have a little bit of margin that they can actually sit in the slipstream and gain on the driver ahead. So of course, it's never ideal to warm your engine up for no reason, but if your engine temperature is on the lower side, you can then go into the slipstream and actually gain some lap time on the drivers ahead of you. All right. What else? The tyre strategy for Max and Leclerc is to attack the car ahead. Yeah, of course. I mean, I think during their best possible shots to make some overtakes will be on the opening lap of the race. So Leclerc, if he can get ahead of Norris, then he can do very much what he did in Kota, where he will just hold up Lando Norris for lap after lap after lap. Even though Norris may have the quicker car, Leclerc will try that strategy again, and then of course he'll be in a Ferrari sandwich. The one good thing that I'd like to say this weekend, Hamilton is right there with Leclerc's pace. The gap was very, very marginal between the two Ferrari drivers yesterday, and that sort of lends itself to believe that if Leclerc, let's say, was to get ahead of Lando Norris on the race start, then Hamilton would be right there to sit on Norris's tail and put him in a Ferrari sandwich, which would then lead to, well, Norris not only having to attack Charles Leclerc, but also then defend against Lewis Hamilton, which could hold him up even more. Which is then again ideal for the Ferrari team, ideal for the Mercs, ideal for Verstappen, and also ideal for Piastri. So yeah, if Leclerc holds up Lando Norris, it's helping out pretty much the entire rest of the grid. All right. Let's see. Did you know that Lando doesn't use the lap down during qualifying? Well, I think it's, I didn't actually know that, but I'm also not surprised. You know, drivers, when they're during qualifying, during the few sort of downtimes that they have, you know, just going through turn number 1, 2, and 3, if you look at your delta and then it says that you're 2/10 up, then that might retroactively affect how you're going to take the next few corners. And then you decide, maybe I shouldn't attack as much. And it's sort of, you get in your own head. So it's a good idea to sort of just get rid of the delta when you're doing your quali laps. The race is starting in 38 minutes, folks. The drivers are doing their reconnaissance laps. They're going out onto the grid, making sure everything is working as expected from overnight, and they'll be hopefully they'll be making their way towards the starting grid, and hopefully there's no technical issues for any of the drivers. Just a quick run through of anyone that has had technical issues this weekend. We have Fernando Alonso sitting out quite the long period of time in free practice 3, because he had some problems with his car. And I think Lando Norris also at some point during free practice 1 or maybe free practice 2 said his car was misfiring, which was quite the odd statement. I've never heard a Formula 1 driver say that the car's misfiring, but that issue lasted a grand total of about 1 minute before the McLaren engineers came and fixed it. So far, it's been reasonable reliability. Of course, not perfect, but it's not been as bad as we've had it in previous years as well. Pit stop loss time, the drivers will be losing 22 seconds going into the pits. Let me get up the right piece of information. We have got, where is it? It is here. So the drivers lose 22 seconds when they pit under green flag conditions, and they lose 12 seconds if they pit under safety car or virtual safety car conditions. So that's the pit stop situation around here in Mexico City. The strategy, as I showed you guys earlier, most likely going to be a 1-stop. With track temperatures so high, we could consider the 2-stop, but these hard tyres are just so durable. I still have a feeling that if the teams notice exceedingly high, extraordinary tyre wear, rather than going for a 2-stop, they're just going to pick the hard tyres and hope they can make it to the end. Because the tyre degradation stat here, you can see that over the course of 5 laps, your soft tyres will lose 5/10 worth of pace, your medium tyres will lose a quarter a second worth of pace, and your hard tyres will only lose 1/10 worth of pace over the course of 5 laps. And that just shows you the hard tyres are 5 times as durable as the softs. And yeah, if push comes to shove and we get loads of tyre wear, then we will just have the drivers go out on the hard tyres. Looking at the race pace simulation data, we can see Ferrari still look a little bit off the ways of McLaren. They're about 3/10 back from the pace, and so is Mercedes. Red Bull is closer, with there being a 10th back, and McLaren, of course, they're the fastest. But what you can see here, the gap isn't huge. We've seen in the past that drivers that are 4/10, 5/10 quicker still getting stuck behind other drivers because they don't have enough pace to overtake. So Ferrari, even if they are 3/10 slower than the McLarens, they still could hold off Lando Norris if, turn 1, lap 1 goes well for them. So we shall wait and see how it goes. F1 Gamer, who's on the clean side of the grid? The drivers with the odd numbers are on the clean side of the grid. Lando Norris, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Oscar Piastri are all on the clean side of the grid. And we have got the drivers with even numbers on the dirty side of the grid. However, here in Mexico, it's not too big of an impact because a lot of dust does get blown over overnight. So quite a lot of the track is a little bit dusty. And the other thing is, all of the drivers now on their reconnaissance laps are cleaning up the circuit. And you best believe the drivers that are doing... Oh, actually, no, the drivers aren't going down the start-finish straight. But essentially, yeah, it's not going to be that big of a difference because there has been quite a bit of dust that blows over overnight here in Mexico. Yeah. Why is the penalty for Sainz? Sainz did get a 5-place grid penalty for crashing into Kimi Antonelli at the US Grand Prix, and that is why he's been dropped from 7th position down into 12th, and that has promoted Oscar Piastri up from 8th up into 7th. But Piastri in 2023 started the Mexican Grand Prix in 7th position and finished in 8th. It wasn't the best Grand Prix for him. In 2024, he also finished in 8th position. So, he'll be looking to break that record, break that streak, maybe go up the inside of Antonelli. He'll have to fight Max Verstappen pretty hard. They're both going for it at the championship, or they could both work together. They both know that to win the championship, they also have to gain points on Lando Norris, and we could see the enemies become rivals and, progress their way through the grid together. I don't know exactly how that would work, but that is, again, an option, and there could be this sort of mutual respect saying, Norris is way too far up, we can't let this happen, and then they'll try and catch him. Okay. Do you think Piastri's car is as fast as Norris? I think it is. I don't think there's any sort of difference in the cars. I don't think there's sabotage. It's very strange to see such a big difference between two drivers. But the way that Mexico sort of needs you to drive the car is very, very different to a lot of the other racetracks on the calendar. And, Piastri hasn't done well here in the past, so it sort of tracks that he isn't going to do well here again. Whatever weakness it is here in Mexico City, according to some of the other experts and the analysts, what they think it is that Lando Norris does a lot more trail braking into corners, a lot more comfortable going deep into the corners while still on the brakes, whereas Oscar Piastri gets off the brakes early, carries a bunch of speed into the corner, and then gets on the power early. But around here in Mexico City, for whatever reason, the way that Lando Norris drives seems to be better. And that's what they think, at least. But to be honest, for the large majority of us, it is a very, very big mystery as to why Piastri is this far back. He hasn't been this far back in quite a few other races, in any other race this season so far. This is the biggest gap we've had between the two McLaren drivers in qualifying in a very, very long time. And, we'll see if Piastri can gain some positions during today's race. We could get a masterclass from Piastri. He still does have the fastest car in the race. It may not be the most ideal circuit for him, but after all, these drivers are pretty good at adapting, and he may be able to find his feet again. Yeah, alright, we got 7,000 people tuned into the live stream. Thank you everyone for tuning in, means a lot, folks. Be sure to hit the like button as well, goes a long way to helping out the channel, and if you aren't subscribed, be sure to do that as well. Yeah. Hope you guys are enjoying the coverage. We're going to have the race start in 30 minutes. The drivers are now making their way towards the starting grid. Kimi Antonelli is the only driver currently in the pit lane, but there we go. He's just made his way out, and everyone will be very soon approaching the starting grid and parking up their cars and turning off their engines. He is buckled under the pressure. It's all him. Accidents will do this to you. Well, that is very, very true, folks. And, you've got to consider here Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris for the next 6 weeks till Abu Dhabi. It is going to be the most intense 6 weeks of their life. It's going to be the highest pressure scenario that they've ever lived through. And it's going to be the exact same for all of the McLaren engineers as well. Most of these McLaren engineers have not been around long enough to be back in the 2007, 2008 days when they were fighting for the World Championship. And this next 6 weeks are going to be the most intense weeks for everyone back at the McLaren factory, for the people that fly all across the world. But when you look at the flip side, Max Verstappen, this is nowhere near as intense as it was back in 2021. And for all of the Red Bull crew as well, they've dealt with 2021. Not a lot of them have left. Of course, there will be a few youngsters, few new people that have joined the Red Bull team that haven't experienced this level of pressure before, but Verstappen is very much used to it. Piastri, Norris, not so much. Some people do well under pressure, some people crumble, and, well, we're seeing what's happening right now. We've seen that McLaren pit stops have gone down the drain. I think last 7 races in a row that they've messed up pit stops and had a pit stop over 3.5 seconds. And, Piastri's had some mistakes creep in now, and Norris has risen up to the challenge. Okay. F1 Gamer, it's like the good old pandemic days. The next 6 weeks are crucial. Yeah. When does the Grand Prix start? It starts in 30 minutes, folks. It just says race starts in, and then there you go, off the edge of my webcam. Where to watch the race? It is Surfshark VPN, folks. You can use Surfshark VPN using the link in the description. You join an Austrian VPN server, and then you Google Service TV Formula 1, and you can enjoy the Formula 1 coverage. Okay, right now I'm going to take you through an onboard lap of the circuit, show you what this circuit is all about, and what the drivers have to watch out for when they're doing their flying laps. Let's firstly start out here at turn number 1. So the driver that's on pole position here is just starting to the left-hand side, so there you go. In fact, I've just missed it actually, but you're heading up here, and just on the right side is the pole position slot. Oh, there we go. All right, so this is pole position here. Just to the right, you can see there's this vague little rectangle on the left-hand side of the circuit, which is the clean side, and then the right-hand side is the dirty side. So all of the drivers with even numbers, they're on the right-hand side of the grid. All the drivers with the odd numbers, they are on the left-hand side of the grid. And, well, from here, shall we count? So we have got... You make your way from turn number 1, well, from pole position, the pole position grid slot, and it's a grand total of, I think it's 12 seconds, yeah, 12 seconds that the drivers spend before they slam onto the brakes for turn number 1. So 12 seconds at full throttle for the drivers, trying to slipstream, jockeying for position, moving to the left, moving to the right, looking in their mirrors, trying to see if there's a gap that they can slip through and make an overtake in towards turn number 1. It's 830 meters for the drivers, and of course this 12 seconds is actually a little bit of an underestimate, because I was on a flying lap, so I was starting the lap going at probably 150 miles per hour, but in reality the drivers start out at 0, so it's probably a 20-second dash all the way to the line, and, well, all the way to the braking zone of turn number 1. And those 20 seconds proved to be very, very critical. Okay. So in towards turns number 1 and 2, you gotta, well, be very, very careful not to cut the corner. If you do cut, well, if you cut the corner, then of course you'll get a lap time deleted. You get some more warnings as well. If you go to the left-hand side of the circuit and exceed track limits there, that's again a problem. But the drivers mainly on the exit, they are upshifting to reduce their wheel spin, to make sure that firstly they aren't using too much fuel, and secondly also to reduce the wheel spin and the overheating on their cars. Third position is the best position to start from, because it is on the it's the highest position on the clean side of the grid, and it has also got a slipstream. You've also got the driver in pole position to give you a slipstream. So yeah, that's why people say third place is the best to start. In fact, Charles Leclerc himself yesterday said that he wanted to qualify in third place and he was a bit annoyed that he qualified in second because, of course, ahead of him, there's going to be no one to give him a tow. And he'll be punching a hole in the air, punching this huge, massive, gaping hole for Verstappen and for Russell to go into. Okay. So that's the first three corners, and that's pretty much the first sector as well. The first sector is a big old straight, 3 corners, and then another big old straight with 2 DRS zones as well. We've got 3 DRS zones on the lap, but you've only got 1 detection point. So let me just put that up on the... Here we go, let me get my mouse up. So you've got 1 DRS detection point here, just at turn number 14, and then you've got 1 super long DRS zone. And even if you pull off an overtake and you get overtaken, in towards turn number 1, you will not have DRS going in towards turns number 4 because... yeah, there's only 1 DRS detection point for these 2 DRS zones, and then here's the second DRS detection point, which is for this third DRS zone on the flying lap. Okay. Let's see, what else have we got going on? So you make your way through turns number 4. At turn number 4, you totally compromise the exit because you want to get yourself all the way over to the left-hand side for turn number 5, so then you can dart over to the right and, well, hopefully not miss the apex as badly as I did there. Then for this corner, you can miss the apex, actually, of this first, of turn number 6. You can miss the first apex, drift out wide. The second apex, much more important to get a good exit, good launch in towards turn number 7. And at this point, tap the brakes, flick the car to the left. The rear is always super duper nervous around here in Mexico because you've got such thinner air, not enough downforce on the cars, and the drivers going through at such high speeds. They're flat on the power from now on, so hug the inside line. Try not to drift too wide. If your tyres do wear out, you could exceed track limits. It's not going to be as bad as COTA, but it is still going to be a little bit of an issue and a bit of a concern for the drivers. And then you've got your third DRS zone braking in towards turn number 12, super late on the brakes. And for this corner, shift your brake balance rearward a little bit to make sure that you don't lock up and can actually rotate the car enough in through the stadium section. And then you make your way through towards the final corner. Another thing that I would like to point out, actually, let me just skip to the right bit of the lap. So this is turn number 7, this left-hander. Then you've got turn number 8, which is this right-hander, and then turn number 9. On the exit of this corner, just about at this point here, there is a little bump in the road. And if you watch the qualifying on boards from Max Verstappen, from Lando Norris, and from Oscar Piastri, what you can see is that Max Verstappen's Red Bull gets very, very unsettled by this little bump in the road. It's a very, very minor bump, but both McLaren and Red Bull are running their car equally low to the ground, but Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris's car, as they go over the bump at turn number 9, not affected whatsoever. So that's indicating that, the Red Bull isn't as stable as Verstappen would like it to be. It's a little bit on the twitchy side this weekend, and we'll see how he handles that throughout the race, and if he can manage his tyres on a car that's sliding around maybe just a little bit too much. Yeah. All right, let's bring this over here. And F1 Gamer, can we see Oscar losing places because that Q3 lap was really bad, but it was his best by far. I don't know if he can keep it consistent this long under pressure. Well, when I looked at the theoretical best lap times, Oscar Piastri put together his best possible lap for Q3, and so did Lando Norris, so did Leclerc and Hamilton. All of the drivers either put their best possible lap together or they were within half a tenth of their best possible lap. So I think Piastri still does have the pace. We normally see this from all of the drivers. They improved quite dramatically from Q2 to Q3, and they also improved quite dramatically from the first run of Q3 to the second run of Q3. So I wouldn't have that as that big of a concern. And you are also looking at the drivers behind him, and you've got Isaac Hadjar, you've got Oliver Behrman, Yuki Tsunoda, and when you do look at the race pace here, you can see the McLarens are the quickest teams. Racing Bulls, Hasses, they're 6, 7, 8 tenths slower, so it should not be that big of a concern for Oscar Piastri. However, overtaking Kimi Antonelli is going to prove to be a tough challenge if he can't get it done at turn number 1. Just to quickly reiterate, anyone that's just tuned into the live stream, we've got the race strategies from Pirelli. It seems to be start the race on the mediums, then go on to the softs. However, This might not work out because we've got track temperatures at 53 degrees Celsius, so the drivers might opt for strategy number 2, which is start the race on the mediums, then go on to the hards. But only time will tell. We'll also get the strategy information coming through, the tyre information coming through shortly in about 10-15 minutes time. We'll get all the tyres information on which drivers are using which tyres, and well, that'd be interesting to see. Of course, if someone is using a set of softs, let's say Piastri actually bolts on a set of soft tyres, decides I need to get a really good launch in towards turn number 1, I need to get a very nice start, maybe overtake Antonelli straight away, tuck into Russell's slipstream, and then try and go down the inside, maybe gain 3 places. That could work out for him, and it could compromise him a little bit later on, but the hard tyres around here in Mexico are super duper durable, and we saw it in 2019 actually. Lewis Hamilton pulled off an incredible final stint on his tyres to go on to win the race. Hamilton has won here 2 times before, Verstappen has won here 5 times before, and, well, we'll see who comes out to win today. But, well, Lando Norris does look pretty likely for him. In fact, Hamilton had such a good stint on his in 2019. Seb Vettel over in the press conferences afterwards was like, "Oh, you should find a guy that massages his tires, massages you as good as Lewis Hamilton massages his tires during a race lap." I don't know if any of you folks have watched that press conference, but no, that was a very good tire management episode from Lewis Hamilton, and maybe he'll have to do it again. He will probably have to do some extra lifting and coasting, given that he's driving a Ferrari. But this is the highest position that he has started a race with Ferrari. He did have a sprint race where he started higher up, but in terms of actual racing, this is the highest position that Hamilton has started all season long. And, well, we'll see if he can score that podium. It's been a very, very long time since, it's been a long time since we've seen him on the podium, and it'll be nice to see him up there in the scarlet red Ferrari outfit. Okay. So I'd like to see some predictions from you guys, some wild predictions. I don't want to know who you think's going to win the race. I want a prediction for who's going to DNF first. I want a prediction for the number of safety cars, and also who's going to have the best team radio. Are we going to have Fernando Alonso saying GP2 engine, or are we going to have Max Verstappen just complaining, or will we get Charles Leclerc have another rendition of "Must Be the Lift and Coast"? Who knows what will happen. Lando Norris is going to bottle. Well, Norris has had a few good race starts, but also he's had a few bad ones as well. So, well, will this be another one to add to the bottling list, or will he actually be able to get a nice start in towards turn number 1? The thing is, though, he's starting on pole. If he gets a bad start, he is going to be swamped ASAP, because then Hamilton is going to be right on his tail, then pull out to the side, try to go ahead of him. Verstappen will follow Hamilton through because Hamilton will have more momentum, and Norris having less momentum, and then also not being in this slipstream queue, he is just going to fall backwards and backwards and backwards. So the start is super critical both for Norris and Leclerc, because it's all good getting a good start and then getting slipstream past that. In that way, you're maybe going to lose 1 position at max, or maybe 2 positions. But if you get a bad start and have lose a lot of momentum, and then other drivers are slipstreaming past you and you can't get into a slipstream line, then, well, see you later. You lose 4 positions off the race start, and, well, game over, isn't it? Okay. Safety car, 2 safety cars. I think, 2 safety cars seems reasonable. We could have definitely some drivers DNFing, definitely some collisions as well in towards turn number 1. We've seen a few lockups here and there during practice, but during the race, there's always a few more. And then going through turn number 4 as well, that's always prime opportunity to crash into your rivals. Of course, back in 2024, we did have that outstanding graphic of Max Verstappen with an outstanding 20 seconds of penalties for his questionable driving tactics back in 2024. We'll see if he replicate some of those tactics, or will it be George Russell and Kimi Antonelli to do that this year? They're currently both sandwiching Max Verstappen, so I'm sure Verstappen isn't too pleased about where he's starting in the Mercedes sandwich, but he'll be looking to break out of that ASAP. Stroll doing Stroll things. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Stroll does some Stroll things. He did. He tried to pull off a 38-meter dive bomb in towards turn number 1 at Kota during the sprint race against Esteban Ocon. Did not work, but hey ho, maybe he can try it again in towards turn number 1 and bring out a safety car. Crash on the first lap, 2 Brits, instant DNF. Well, what Brits have we got available to have a DNF? We've got Norris, of course, Hamilton there in 3rd, Russell in 4th, Oliver Behrman in 9th. Those are the 4 British drivers on the grid, as long as I haven't missed anyone, which I don't think I have. Right, 16 minutes now till we get underway for the start of the race. We're going to have 71 laps of racing around here. If we look at last year's strategies, the drivers did around 30 or so laps, 29 to 34 laps or so on their first stint, and then they pitted for their second set of tyres. So that's sort of the pit stop window that we're looking at. The early 30s or the late 20s is when the drivers should be coming in to the pits. Okay, in terms of folks watching the race, what you can do is watch it using Surfshark VPN and an Austrian VPN server. That's the best way to do it. And yeah, you can just Google Service TV and that'll be sufficient to watch the Formula 1 coverage. Yeah. Okie doke. So we've got all the drivers now lined up on the grid, all of their engineers crowded around their car, and, well, they're all going to be a little bit concerned about this track temperature. 53 degrees Celsius, that's going to affect the grip levels off the line, that's also going to affect the tyre wear as well, so who knows what will happen. We've got the mariachi band playing the national anthem here in Mexico, I think. I would quite like to see. Did they? Are they going to play the mariachi theme song of Formula 1 this weekend, or did they only do that for one Mexican Grand Prix? I would like to see them do that again. Actually, does it work for every Grand Prix with a VPN? Indeed, it does. We've had people doing it for around, well, pretty much half the season, the entire season at this point, and we've got 650 people or so that it works for. So. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you guys are enjoying the coverage. Be sure to hit the like button. Hopefully you can make our way towards 2,000 likes. And we're getting pretty close to hitting 207,000 subscribers. Okay. Yeah, accident turn number 1. Well, let's see. You know, we do have only data on the stream, folks. I'm not going to be showing the actual Sky Sports coverage. If you do want to actually see that, then use the VPN method that I just talked about a few moments ago. But I would like to talk about a few other things. We've got a lot more people tuned into the live stream, so I'll just go through it again. If we compare Mexico City qualifying times from last year to this year, Alpine have somehow got 0.6 of a second slower this year compared to last year. All of the other teams have got quicker. Aston Martin only by a little bit, Ferrari by a little bit, so is from Red Bull by a little bit. McLaren have improved quite a bit, but Alpine are so much slower. I don't even know how that's happened. So yeah, I don't really know. I can't really expand on that any further, but they've somehow gone backwards even though they've developed a car for an entire year, and it's very much a French tractor painted in pink. Running through the next few things, yeah, we've got the Ferrari cycle, of course. We'll see if we get some absolute depression there from Charles Leclerc as we get towards turn number 1, and we'll keep an eye out on the team radios as well to see if there is lifting and coasting issues for the Ferrari team, but who knows what will happen. Bro, please give me a shout out. Unfortunately, spamming messages asking me for a shout out isn't going to work, so yeah. I want to sleep so badly, but Ferrari might cook. And as a Ferrari fan, Ferrari sort of wins and podiums are very far and few between. So I recommend staying up because this might be a while until you get your next win or your next podium. And especially Lewis Hamilton fans, it's been a long time coming. So I suspect you stick along right till the end of the race. There's always a lot of chaos going around here in Mexico. So let's see what happens. How long is the track? The track is around 4.4 kilometers approximately, and that is the total distance from start to finish. It's a 76-second long lap during qualifying. We'll probably see the drivers going up into the 1 minute 20s or so at the start of the race with all the fuel in the car, but that is the lap times that we are looking at here at the Mexican Grand Prix. Everyone gave me a drink water? Yes, I probably should. Also, folks, if any of you work at a water company, feel free to reach out to me on my business email. You can find it on my YouTube about page, and yeah, we're looking to get a water bottle sponsor for next year. That'd be pretty awesome. Okay, so risk of rain 0%. Not really surprised, am I? Because it is Mexico City. After all, the forecast has been nice and sunny all weekend long, and yeah. Any other questions, comments, things you want to ask me, folks, be sure to let me know. I'll do my best to make sure that I can answer everything in the chat. Why did Sainz get a penalty? Sainz got a penalty because he crashed into Kimi Antonelli at the US Grand Prix. So he qualified in 7th position yesterday, but has been demoted 5 places back down into 12th place. Not ideal, but he also did make a mistake last weekend and crashed into Antonelli, sort of ruining his race. So the penalty is fair enough. Jedi Fire 99, thanks for the £10 donation. You've really been helping out the channel, buddy. Evening F1 Gamer, as a Hamilton fan, I can safely say we are in the so back stage of the Ferrari cycle. I think we are. And yeah, Hamilton fans haven't really had much of the we're so back phase, so it'll be good to see if Hamilton can continue that and go 71 laps in the we're so back phase, and then, you know, maybe at the next race in Brazil, they'll go back to their absolute depression. Ready for your popcorn before the 10-minute start? Yeah, we do need some popcorn, folks, because this run-in towards turn number 1 is going to be absolutely mega. The other thing that I wanted to show you guys, where has it gone? It is here. So this graphic, or this sort of table or whatever, is telling you the difference for the drivers that have started the race on pole position, but then it's actually the number of times the drivers that have won the race in towards turn number 1 and then also gone on to win the race. So we saw that Rosberg in 2015, he did win the race in towards turn number 1, won the race. Hamilton won the race into turn number 1, and then won the race. Verstappen has done that same thing 5 times: 2017, 2018, 2021, 2022, and 2023. And then, of course, that has only been broken by Charles Leclerc in 2019 and Carlos Sainz in 2024. So maybe something like that will happen again, something similar to what happened last year. But Verstappen has always been fantastic around this circuit. So, Verstappen is one driver that can pull off miracles, so let's see if he does it again this weekend. Okay. Jamlock8850, thanks for the €6 donation. Thanks for the nice work as always. Big up from Germany. Stay hydrated, folks. Peace and no hate. Thanks for the donation. Really does help out the channel, mate. Very much is appreciated. And hopefully we do have very nice chat today. Hopefully not too many messages about Piastri getting sabotaged, because let's be real, McLaren aren't going to throw away their chances of a World Drivers' Championship just because, for whatever reason, they apparently don't like Piastri. That doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? The tyre race strategy, I'll put up the race strategy here, folks. Start the race on the mediums, then go on to the softs. That's what Pirelli thinks works in low track temperature conditions. However, today, it is very much the opposite. It is 53 degrees Celsius, which is, I think, at least 6 degrees higher than whatever we've seen throughout any of the practice sessions. So it's going to be most likely start the race on the mediums, then on to the hards. But it does depend, after all, on do these hard tyres work. We did have the same issue that we had in COTA, where we have skipped a compound of tyre. So the gap between the softs and the hards is a full second rather than just being 7/10. So yeah, the hard tires might still just be too slow, in which case we'll get a 2-stop race, which will be quite the interesting one. Temps not on Red Bull side? No, they are not. They're also not on the side of the Ferrari team, who are going to have to do a lot of lifting and coasting. They're also not on the side of the Mercedes team, who historically haven't had the best sort of hot temperature conditions and hot temperature performance. So things are looking good for McLaren so far, but there is, of course, the run in towards turn number 1 that can always be messed up, that can always be bottled, and you can lose quite a lot of positions off the race start. Give us a lap on the sim. Indeed, I shall. Let me just move this, and we'll get a lap in the simulator very, very shortly, folks. Where's it gone? Oh yeah, here it is. Lap in the sim. So quickly, just while we're getting the team radios coming through, I'll take you through a flying lap. So the main thing is, out of the final corner, just get a perfect exit. Just do it every time, and it'll really help your race out because it carries so much speed down this straight. The drivers are going down this straight for a grand total of about 18 seconds on a normal race lap, and then for about 20 seconds or so from pole position in towards turn number 1. So super duper long run in towards turn 1 during your normal race laps, and that's why it's important to get a nice exit through turns 1, 2 and 3 very, very late on the brakes. Over the curbs you go to gain a lot of lap time. Short shift to make sure that you don't get too much wheel spin and your tire temperatures are still under still under control. Then in towards turn number 4 you go compromise your exit, get a good entry into turn number 5. Not like what I just did, that was quite the bad entry, but late apex for turn number 6, smoothly onto the power, again sort of short shifting a little bit to try and get a good run. Then through 7, 8 and 9, there's a little bump here on the exit of turn number 9. A few cars get unsettled, namely the Red Bull. The McLaren, however, is perfectly flawless over that part of the circuit. Then you got your third DRS zone going in towards turn number 12. Super deep on the brakes. Avoid the curb here on the left-hand side. This curb is quite high up. It's one of the biggest curbs that we have at the Mexican Grand Prix track. And if you do mount it, you're throwing away lap time like no tomorrow. So the drivers will do their best to avoid that. And to be honest, we haven't had many drivers drive over it in practice as well. Move your brake balance to the rear as you enter the stadium section to allow for you to rotate the car while also slowing down. And then again, you've just got the final corner, this is a quali run, so I hug the inside line, but during a normal race run you'll be much more to the left following the green dotted line on the racetrack. So that's a flying lap of the circuit. Oh, tyre information has just come through. Let me move this. Oh my goodness me. It's the drivers are starting the race on the softs. Interesting. Thanks, Sarek86, for joining the channel member. Very much is appreciated. But soft tyres it is. Even with such hot track temperatures, they've gone for the softs. Ooh, okay. Norris, fresh set of softs for him. Leclerc, fresh set of softs. Hamilton and Russell, they're on used sets. Verstappen is on medium tyres. Piastri's on soft as well. Antonelli's on soft. So a lot of drivers and a lot of people are looking forward, well, trying to get a good race run. And, yeah, I don't really know if that's... Well, they're trying to get a good run in towards turn number 1. Their strategy, however, might be compromised. So let's quickly just flash up the Pirelli strategies. Strategy number 3, 4, and 5 are the strategies available to you if you start the race on the soft tyres. So you can start the race on the softs, then go on to the mediums if you pit around lap number 23, 29. If you pit a little bit earlier than that, then you can put on the hards to go to the end. And then if you pit even earlier than that, then you can do a 2-stop race strategy. So... we'll see how it works out, but here we are in Mexico City, ladies and gentlemen. We are 2,200 meters above sea level, and the air is very, very thin, which is going to be affecting the cars quite significantly. We've got the C2 tires for the hards, the C4 for the softs, and the C4 for the medium, C5 for the softs. So we're skipping the C3 tire compound, and that means the hard tires are going to be rather slow. So Albon and Colapinto very much in it for the long game. Okay. Well, what's it going to be then, folks? In towards turn 1, is Verstappen going to get swamped? Is Piastri, Antonelli, Hadjar behind them? Oh, well, is Piastri and Antonelli, they're both on the soft. Are they going to get a better start than Verstappen trying to overtake him in towards turn 1? Is Verstappen playing the long game and leaving his options open? The Red Bull, I've got to say, is terrible on the soft tyres. They've been having tyre wear issues, overheating issues all weekend long. And I think that is the reason why they've started the race on the medium tyres, because they would chew through these soft tyres in probably 7 laps, and that is not what you want to be doing for a race stint, especially when the race is 71 laps long. So yeah, that's the reason I think Red Bull have opted to go for the mediums. They are going to compromise their race start a little bit, but it's a compromise that they're going to have to take. Otherwise, they'll have to pit on lap number 7 and totally ruin their race. anything could happen going in towards turn number 1, and it usually does here in the world of Formula 1. So let's go from the bottom of the grid. We have got Franco Colapinto in 20th position, Lance Stroll in 19th, Pierre Gasly in 18th, the two Alpines 18th and 20th. Their car has got slower this year compared to what they were last year. I don't know how they've managed that, but not great from either of them. Alex Albon in 17th position. He's starting the race on the hard tyres, playing the long game, while his teammate is up there in 12th, starting the race on the mediums. Bortoletto starts the race on mediums as well, also doing a bit of a longer strategy compared to his teammate Hulkenberg, who's in 13th. We've got Lawson in 15th position, Fernando Alonso in 14th, and Nico Hulkenberg in 13th. Sainz is in 12th after his 5-place grid drop, dropping him from 7th to 12th. Esteban Ocon in 11th position with a set of soft tyres, and Tsunoda 1 position ahead of him with the fresh mediums. Behrman with a used set of soft tyres starting in 9th position. Isaac Hadjar in 8th with fresh mediums. Piastri and Antonelli 6th and 7th on the grid. Both of them have got used soft tyres, which I think they used in Q3. Then we've got Verstappen, the only driver in the top 7 with a set of mediums. In 5th position is Verstappen, Russell is in 4th, Hamilton is in 3rd, Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris on the front row of the grid with 2 sets of fresh soft tyres. Okie dokes, folks, the formation lap is about to get underway. As you can see here, 30 seconds till the formation lap. We're going to have the drivers weaving around, getting the brake temperature, getting the tyre temperature, and most importantly, building up core tyre temperature and surface tyre temperature. That has been the problem, the sort of Achilles heel of the Red Bull team here in Mexico City. They can warm up the surface of their tyre, but that does not emanate inwards to the core, and there is something wrong with the car, with the setup, and they're just not allowing them to get the car into the correct window. The Red Bull race engineers will have worked tirelessly overnight to try and work out if there is some way that they can get the tyres switched on, and Verstappen is going to be following that exact procedure to the T. Every single burnout, every single braking zone, Verstappen's memorizing what the engineer has told him to get these tyres into the perfect window. 71 laps of this race are yet to start, and the formation lap is very much underway, folks. We have got 25,000 people tuned into the live stream. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Hope you guys are all enjoying the coverage. Be sure to smash the like button. It goes a long, long way to helping out the channel, and it would very, very much be appreciated. We have got the points total from the previous 5 races. We have got Max Verstappen gaining 119 points. If you combine the points of Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, both of those drivers have gained 119 points. Verstappen has been on a monumental title charge, and if he cannot win this race, if he cannot close up points on Lando Norris this weekend, it looks a little bit out of reach. So let's see what will happen today. I'm going to turn slow mode on because the chat is absolutely exploding. Thanks everyone for tuning in. And this race is going to be simply incredible. Rufus, thanks for the donation. Things are getting exciting indeed. They are. Norris is now entering the stadium section, weaving a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and getting everything ready as much as he possibly can. I'm going to just freeze the data for 5 seconds to make sure everything is synced up. Just bear with me there, folks. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and things are back underway. Very, very nice. This is just synced up with now what I'm watching, so I'm not going to be 5 seconds ahead on the commentary or anything like that. And yeah, we're getting the drivers now making their way to the starting grid. This is it, folks. Round number 20 of 24 here in the 2025 Formula 1 season. Lando Norris will be lining up on the clean side of the grid, on the left-hand side, folks. If your favorite driver has got an odd number as their starting position, they'll be on the clean side of the grid. They should get a fantastic race start. The drivers with the even numbers, they're going to have a bit more of a compromised start. Leclerc parks himself up on that second grid position. 8.3 meters between Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc, and between Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, there is a gap of 64 meters. Piastri has got to do everything that he possibly can to close that gap up as soon as this race begins. Max Verstappen is going to have a bit of a struggle starting this race on the medium tyres. We've got the final few drivers now approaching the grid. They're getting everything up into the correct settings and changing all of their dials, putting the clutches into their ideal biting point. And we have now got the final car of Franco Colapinto approaching the right-hand side of the grid, ladies and gentlemen. And there we go. Green flag is waving. We have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. It is lights out and away we go. It's a great start for Norris. Leclerc's into his slipstream and Verstappen's into the slipstream queue. This could be fantastic. The two Ferraris squabbling their way in towards turn number 1. Norris is very much on the inside. It's so dirty. Verstappen locks up onto the grass. He goes. Oh, this could be bad for him. Here comes Norris through turns number 1. It's close, but Charles Leclerc's got ahead of him. What a race start from Charles Leclerc. Verstappen's into 3rd place. This is incredible. Piastri's down into 12th. Oh my goodness me. Piastri has gone backwards. Norris regains the lead ahead of Charles Leclerc after I think Leclerc cut the corner, and Verstappen is up into 3rd. He has had the race start of dreams, but Hamilton has just snuck past him. The medium tyres not good enough now, and the soft tyres that are on the Ferrari are looking incredible. Oh, we've got someone at the back that spun. That Stroll and Colapinto contact at the back. It's yellow flags, but we're continuing on as normal. Okay, Norris leads the way. Leclerc in 2nd, Hamilton in 3rd, and Verstappen is in 4th. It looked so good, but once all the positions filtered through, Verstappen moved his way back into 4th place. And Lando Norris, most critically, most importantly, has broken the DRS already. We're on lap number 1, and the gap between Norris and Leclerc is 1.6 seconds. Piastri is stuck behind Tsunoda, who's on the medium tyres on the Red Bull that has had tyre issues all weekend long. Piastri's got to get a move on and got to get some overtakes on. He's lost 2 places off the race start. Wow, what a turn of events. But folks, as I said in the previous 7 Grand Prix here, if you win the race in towards turn number 1, there is a 77% chance that you will win the race as well. So Norris is looking pretty good for him. Russell over the radio complaining Verstappen just cut the corner, braked late onto the grass, and Russell wants Verstappen to give the position back to him. We'll see what happens, but typically these things are knocked down as turn 1, lap 1 incidents, called it a racing incident, and then they just leave it at that. So we'll see if Russell can get a penalty for Max. Wow, 36,000 people tuning into the live stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in, folks. If you can hit the like button underneath the stream, it goes a long way to help out the channel. Jacob, thanks for the donation, tuning in from a farm in California. Hope you're all enjoying, folks. All right, DRS has been enabled. Hamilton has got DRS on Leclerc. Verstappen got DRS on Hamilton, and it's a big old DRS train down from 2nd position all the way into 13th place here in Mexico City. And well, the thing that was important, Norris broke his DRS. Is Hamilton now going to start applying pressure to his teammate? Are we going to get a Ferrari civil war? Charles Leclerc, fastest lap of the race. Hamilton is a little bit too far back. He's got DRS on his teammate, which might just help him out because he's got a charging, racing Red Bull with that Honda engine trying to go down his inside. He's far enough ahead on this occasion. Liam Lawson into the pits after having some sort of contact, I'm guessing, at the start of the race. But Norris leads the way, and Charles Leclerc goes 5 milliseconds quicker on the previous lap. Where to watch this weekend with the VPN, folks? If you do want to watch with a VPN, it is Surfshark VPN using the link in the description, and it's Service TV. Oscar Piastri, purple in the 1st sector. Oh my goodness me. All right, Piastri's on a charge. I think we're going to have to... Oh, yellow flag. What's that? Is that debris? Are they going to bring out a VSC? Because this could help the drivers out on the soft tyres. They've put double yellows now at turn number 1. It looks like there is a serious amount of debris. So could that be a VSC? Could that be a... Well, it's not going to be a safety car for debris, but... the drivers will have to slow down. I don't know how the drivers are going to slow down. Some drivers may not slow down as much as the others, but yeah, we'll wait and see how they deal with that. Some drivers might come into the pits for an early pit stop, try and pull off a one-stop. Is Piastri just going to say, oh, screw it, I'm going to go put on the hards right now and not pit right till the end of the race? Is that the way forward? He's going to have a bunch of clean air that way, and that could work, but no VSC as of now. The yellow flag has been taken away. It looks like a marshal went out onto the track and picked up whatever piece of debris there was at turn 1. Hamilton got DRS on Charles Leclerc, and that is the only thing that has helped him defend against Max Verstappen. The two Ferraris working together. They're lifting and coasting together. How cute of them. But yeah, they're going to be under pressure from Max Verstappen, so Hamilton has got to stay within Leclerc's DRS, otherwise Verstappen will breeze past him. I'm telling you, there's a 20 km per hour difference, folks, 20 kilometers per hour between the drivers that have DRS and the drivers that don't have DRS going down the start and finish straight. So it's day and night difference, and it's critical for the race, and it's critical for Hamilton to get a podium as well. Okay. We're on lap number 4 of 71, and Leclerc's not letting Norris run away with this one. Norris did set a fastest lap, went 0.3 quicker on the previous lap, but he's not running away, not driving off into the sunset or anything like that. So we'll see how it goes. Russell still complaining over the radio about Max Verstappen, Max Verstappen blocking him, or cutting the corner at turn number 1, but there has not even been a message from race control saying that has been noted. So I don't think Russell's complaining is really getting him anywhere. And does Hamilton lose DRS on Charles Leclerc? He does. At the critical moment when he didn't need to, he has just lost DRS, and now Verstappen is gaining. Hamilton's rear wing is slammed shut. There's a 20 km per hour difference in the top speeds as they head their way down the start-finish straight, and Verstappen gains 4 tenths over the course of one straight. Here comes the next straight. Here comes the next DRS zone. What is it going to be here in Mexico City? All right. Yep, fastest lap of the race, though, still for Lando Norris. It's still looking good. Albon gets ahead of Pierre Gasly a little bit further back, and we look at the reaction times. Leclerc had a better reaction time, but his clutch release wasn't ideal, and that's why that's why Norris got the jump on him. And then, of course, Leclerc cut the corner at turn 1, and he had to give the position back to Lando Norris. So that's why, for a moment, I was like, oh my God, Leclerc's in the lead of the race. But no, he cut the corner, and he had to give the place back. All right, now, Verstappen is again very, very close. So now he's 6 tenths going into the stadium section. Extremely close. This is the closest he's ever been. And Hamilton is now firmly out of DRS from Charles Leclerc. It's 1.2 seconds is the gap right now. And Piastri is still cooked, ladies and gents. There's no other way to put it. He's there in 9th position, and he's still stuck behind Yuki Tsunoda. Admittedly, he's in DRS train, which makes it hard to overtake. But yeah, he's got to do something. And Verstappen comes over the radio saying, I got squeezed like crazy, so that's why he's done that. And Verstappen looking now to the inside of turn number 1. Does he get the overtake done on Lewis Hamilton? It is super duper close. Through turn number 3 they go, and Verstappen is up into 3rd place. For a moment there, the GPS was glitching out, but no. Verstappen has just managed to get past Lewis Hamilton, and a little bit of a lock up there as Hamilton goes straight on through turn number 4 and 5. And well, is he going to give the position back to Max? I think he is. Oh, the GPSs are really glitching out here, folks. Just bear with the GPS till Hamilton pops himself back up there into 3rd. Wait, has Verstappen just been... Verstappen's just been overtaken by Behrman. What? Oliver Behrman, out of nowhere, is up 5 places, started the race in 9th, up into 4th, ahead of Max. What is going on here? Wait, what? This gap has also hugely opened up. Verstappen overtook Hamilton. Hamilton missed the braking zone and then went straight on. He's surely got to give the position back to Verstappen. Meanwhile, while all of this was happening, Verstappen got overtaken by Oliver Behrman. It's all kicking off here in Mexico City, and yeah, Ollie Behrman up 5 positions off the race start. Oscar Piastri, another purple first sector. He's going really fast in the first sector, but he can't get ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. Right, here comes Verstappen down the start-finish straight. What can he do? Can he get ahead of Oliver Behrman in towards turn 1? He can't. Maybe he's sitting back. Maybe he's hoping to get the overtake done in towards turn number 4, but this is mental, and Norris now 2 seconds ahead of Leclerc, but the gap to Verstappen is now 9 seconds. That's nearly a safety car pit stop worth. Yeah, Verstappen and Lewis collided, very much 2021-esque. Actually, Verstappen cut the corner, and then Lewis cut the corner again. So I don't know what's going on, but the race control and stewards are going to have an absolute field day with this one. Verstappen went down the inside, and he barely made the corner, pushed Hamilton off the track, and then just cut the third corner. Mental, absolutely mental. We'll see if Verstappen's probably going to have to overtake Behrman on the track, and then Hamilton, I don't think is going to be switching positions again, but yeah, it was like it was 2021 all over again. Hamilton locked up, went straight on, and then Verstappen outbraked himself onto the grass, and that's where Behrman slipped by. It was through goes Behrman. It was very, very similar to that, and yeah, slipped by Antonelli and Verstappen, so incredible job by Ollie Behrman. Here we are now, coming out of turn number 16, Behrman with that DRS flap closed, Max Verstappen, the Oracle logo on their rear wing is no longer visible. The flap is open. 20 extra kilometers per hour as they go down the start-finish straight. It's Ferrari power versus Honda power, and a bit of overtake mode to help. But Max is still behind Oliver Behrman. The lap 1, turn 2 incident has now been noted between Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz for leaving the track and gaining an advantage, but, you know, Leclerc isn't there, Verstappen isn't there for being noted, so I guess whatever they did on turn 1 has now been all forgiven. Is Hamilton doing lift and coast? The Ferraris will be doing lift and coast, to be honest with you guys. Piastri does just get ahead of Tsunoda, but then gets re-overtaken, I think. Does he? Yes, he does get re-overtaken. Not ideal. He needs to pull off the move and pull off a move quickly. Yeah, not ideal there for Oscar Piastri, getting stuck behind Yuki Tsunoda. And yeah, Max is still stuck behind Behrman. I don't know what he's doing. I guess he's maybe hoping for the soft tyres to wear out. The soft tyres are probably going to go off around lap number 16, 17, 18. And, well, there's still 10 laps left to go of that. So, yeah, a lot of work to be done. Oscar Piastri, 363 kilometers per hour for Oscar Piastri through the speed trap. That might actually be close to the record. I don't know what the record is here in Mexico City. It might be 378 with Valtteri Bottas. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. But Lando Norris has just set the fastest lap of the race. Piastri has just gone quickest through the speed trap with another purple first sector. And Verstappen, round number 2 against himself and Ollie Behrman. And Behrman is still holding on very, very well. Okay, Hamilton's over the radio saying, what are they doing about the people who took advantage at turn number 1? And Hamilton's just been told they're doing nothing. So Hamilton's just got to get on with it. But he's there in 3rd position. It's been a while since we've seen Hamilton up in the podium places. So all the LH fans will be very, very happy with that one. Folks, we've got 40,000 people tuning into the live stream. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Hope you all are enjoying the coverage. And be sure to hit the like button as well. It goes a long way to helping out the channel. All right. We've got Hamilton under investigation, failing to follow the race director's instructions on the escape road. Hamilton could get a 5-second time penalty for cutting the escape road incorrectly. I'm not exactly sure how that works or what the rules were because they only get handed out to the drivers. But Hamilton is under investigation for the escape road instructions, and Verstappen and Hamilton have also been noted for causing a collision. So, well, let's see what happens and what plays out for these two drivers. But none of that really matters because Behrman is still ahead of Max Verstappen, and Hamilton is just building this gap out. Behrman, of course, the Ferrari Driver Academy driver driving for Haas, he is holding up Max Verstappen. In fact, Verstappen is out of DRS now of Kimi Antonelli. What is going on here? He's dropped out of DRS of a Haas which is 8/10 slower per lap during the race, but somehow he is, I don't know what's happening, but 2021 so back, Verstappen and Hamilton battling away, causing collisions, getting penalties. But we're at the front with Lando Norris, another fastest lap of the race for him, and he's 2.6 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc. That, ladies and gents, is not out of undercut range. If Ferrari do time a pit stop correctly, if Lando Norris's team, if McLaren mess up a pit stop, then Charles Leclerc is very much in the running for a race win. We've seen it in the past. McLaren for the past 6, 7, 8 races have messed up pit stops, and well, now is a high pressure scenario and they might just do it again. Ferrari might try to work something out. We'll see if Ferrari can pull out some strategy tricks to help out their fellow driver. Okay, Yeah, Hamilton's got a lap time deleted for exceeding track limits, and so has Verstappen. So yeah, I mean, these drivers, we'll see what happens to them. But Behrman is still holding on. Honestly, the highest position a Haas car has ever finished, ladies and gents, is 4th position. So Oliver Behrman is doing a record-breaking best for the Haas team. Piastri just gets ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. Fantastic job there from, well, I wouldn't go to say fantastic, but it's a step in the right direction for Piastri, and as he heads towards turn number 4, he does not get re-overtaken by Tsunoda. So nicely done by Piastri, 1 position up. Next up now is George Russell, 1.5 seconds up the road. He's got to close that gap up to his rival. Behrman wants a podium. Yeah, Haas, up till this date, Haas have never scored a podium in their Formula 1 history, and, well, Oliver Behrman might be able to change that. With a Ferrari masterclass in lifting and coasting, Oliver Behrman could find himself up on the podium. If Behrman gets a podium before Lewis, that would be mental, wouldn't it? We're on lap number 11 of 71. At this point, the soft tyres are really starting to wear out, and we're going to see drivers start complaining about their tyre temperature. You can see Isaac Hadjar just there, a last chat message, or it's now the 3rd one along, but the traction is just terrible. And, well, it's a sign of the track conditions, sign of the track temperature being up at 50 degrees Celsius. The wind also, folks, it's 9 kilometers per hour blowing in this direction, so giving drivers a tailwind going through towards turn number 1. And that's a little bit extra top speed as well. Ollie beat Hamilton in his first race, so he can do it again. Well, I know I'd like to see Hamilton get up on the podium. It's been a while since he's been there, and he's been trying quite hard with Ferrari. But in the same vein, I'd like to see Behrman also score a podium. You know, we've had Hadjar score a podium this season. We've saw Antonelli, also another one of the rookies, score a podium. So why not Ollie Behrman? Tsunoda is battling away with Esteban Ocon, actually, and Tsunoda's managing to keep Esteban Ocon behind him. Verstappen, however, not managing to get ahead of Ollie Behrman. The gap now up to 1.5 seconds, and I feel like Verstappen has dropped back now. He's trying to preserve his tyres. He's on those medium tyres, of course, so he's running a slightly different strategy to the rest of the grid, and we'll see if it works out for him. Okay. Yeah. If I was to ask you guys who is your driver of the day so far, it's most certainly going to be Oliver Behrman, I think, unless you guys have got any other opinions. But Ollie Behrman doing a fantastic job in this race so far. We'll see if the Haas team can keep up with the strategy and make sure that they don't get undercut by Max Verstappen. Charles Leclerc, unfortunately, is dropping out of undercut range. It was previously 2.5 seconds the gap. Now it's up to 3.5 seconds, and Lando Norris is pulling slowly but surely off into the distance, and Leclerc unable to keep him in check. So that could cause some problems if Ferrari want to actually win this race. Okay. When did Lawson retire? Lawson retired at, lap number 5 by the looks of it. He just had some damage with his car and it was irreparable. So Lawson's out of this race. Can you remove the science text? Indeed, I shall. There we go. All right, lap number 13 of 71. A little bit more battling going on here, and you can see Ocon is actually going super deep into the corners, still on the brakes. It's a tactic that you actually have to use quite a lot around here in Mexico, and I think that is the main reason why Piastri has been so far back compared to Lando Norris for the majority of this weekend. Mexico City really does like drivers who trail brake super deep into the corners. Norris does do that. Piastri has not been able to adapt as much, and that is why he's struggling down in 8th position. Ocon over the radio complaining about Tsunoda's bad defensive maneuvers and is saying it's a bit dangerous. We'll see if that gets investigated. Okay. What's the pit window, folks? The pit window for the soft tyres, if the drivers are doing a one-stop strategy, then it will be around about lap number 22 or so, lap number 22 to 24. If they're doing a two-stop, then they'll be pitting lap number 16 to 20. So, yeah, if they pit in the next couple of laps, it might be a two-stop strategy. It does look unlikely, though. It takes 22 full seconds to come into the pits and change your tyres here in Mexico. Right, Fernando Alonso, Carlos Sainz have had their investigation with no further penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage, so no problems there for them. Alright, I'm going to have a quick sip of water. Where's my water bottle gone? over here. Okay. Folks, we've got 39,000 people tuning into the live stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope you guys are enjoying the coverage. And yeah, we are very much well in our way towards the pit stop phase of this race now. We've got only a very limited number of drivers still within DRS range. We've got Antonelli within DRS of Verstappen, but Antonelli has nowhere near enough pace to actually overtake Max. I think Max is very much playing sort of the preserve your tyres game, because after all, he's on the medium tyres. They can go to around lap number 30 or so towards this race, whereas the softs are going to have to pit much more towards lap number 20. Ocon is within DRS of Tsunoda, which are those two are battling away, and then of course you've got Alonso trying to overtake Carlos Sainz and not being all that successful. You've got the Oscar Piastri still with the quickest through the speed traps, unable to get close to George Russell right now. The gap when he overtook Tsunoda was 1.5 seconds. The gap still remains at 1.5 seconds, and Piastri is, well, really struggling to make up places. On the previous lap, Lando Norris was 0.7 of a second quicker. He's just set another fastest lap of the race as Lando Norris. And, well, this could be a Grand Slam for Norris, couldn't it? Oscar Piastri did get his Grand Slam a little bit early on in the season, but since then things have gone quite significantly downhill for the Australian driver. How much can the softs last? The softs can last around about, I would say, well, from 20 to 25 laps tops. Above that, they really start struggling. And oh my goodness me, a 10-second time penalty for Lewis Hamilton for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. That 10-second time penalty, folks, is from when he cut the escape road and just slotted out ahead of Verstappen and Behrman. He should have given the position back in that situation, and he did not do that. So Lewis Hamilton has been given a 10-second time penalty for cutting the racetrack. That he's going to have to serve that in his next pit stop, and that, ladies and gents, that means Oliver Behrman could be scoring a podium. So we've got 39,000 people watching the live stream right now. None of you can leave, because Behrman, Haas could be on their way to their first ever Formula One podium if this continues on. So yeah, here we go. If Hamilton gets a 10-second time penalty, that drops him behind Max Verstappen. That drops him behind even Oscar Piastri, actually. That's how big a 10-second time gap is. So it's what can I say? I mean, Hamilton did cut the track. There's no sort of saving grace for him as well. You know, if it was a contact between Verstappen, you could have said, you know, maybe Verstappen's fault a little bit more or whatever. But Hamilton cut the racetrack when he locked up and went straight on at turn number 4, didn't follow the race director's instructions, and, well, he drove all over the grass. It's a black and white 10-second time penalty. Very, very unfortunate, but, you know, your actions do have consequences at the end of the day. We're on lap number 17 of 71, and 55 laps remain of this race. Oliver Behrman could be on for his first ever podium. Why did Max get a penalty? Why did Hamilton get a penalty and Max didn't? Well, if you look at the replays, Max ended up not actually gaining a significant amount of time because of that. He did cut the track, but the stewards are only going to penalise you if you actually gain 10 seconds, 5 seconds on the drivers ahead of you, and Hamilton clearly has done that. So, yeah. Have they told Lewis? Haven't seen it over the radio? I'm not sure, actually. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's quite a few radios that do pass by that don't come over this system here. So maybe Hamilton has been told just yet. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe Ferrari just waiting for the pit stops, and then they're going to tell him, oh yeah, by the way, when you're coming into the pits, you're going to get a 10-second time penalty. Yeah. Max did it with Russell. Yes, Max did do it with Russell, actually. That was a... Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So I don't know what this is the other thing, you know, I'm not agreeing with every single decision the FIA has made. I'm saying that, you know, the one with Hamilton is correct. Maybe the one with Verstappen and Russell, probably not correct, but the FIA are always consistent with being inconsistent. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, but I don't think it's under investigation, folks. All right, So Piastri is now within DRS of George Russell, actually. Russell made some mistakes on the previous few laps, and Piastri's right there. Okay, here we go then. Oscar Piastri, a little bit of oversteer as he gets onto the power on the exit of turn number 3. Now he's got his second DRS zone heading towards turn number 4. Is he close enough to get ahead of George Russell? Not on this occasion. That little twitch of oversteer has been haunting him since Baku 2024. It was he was getting twitches of oversteers just defending against Charles Leclerc. It's the exact same twitch when he's getting on the power. And Oscar Piastri, he was very close to overtaking Russell. He's got to try it again on another lap. How much of a penalty did Hamilton get? He got a 10-second time penalty. Why is Sainz coming into the pits? Well, Sainz is now coming out on a set of... Wait, did Sainz just come out on a set of soft tyres? What? Why is he out on softs? There's 53 laps left of this race to go, so I guess Williams have confirmed a 2-stop race strategy. They think the hards are terrible. Looking at the lap times, they can see Alex Albon's lap times. It's a 1:24.2 from Alex Albon, and it's not all that quick on those hard tyres. Colapinto is doing 1:24s as well. That is also not very quick. In fact, out of the 4 drivers that are going over the 1 minute 23s, 2 of them are on hard tyres. So yeah, the hard tyres not that quick. So I think that Sainz is actually going for a 2-stop race. He must be if he's out on softs right now. All right. Where do I set my VPN to watch the live coverage? It's Austria or Vienna, and then you search Service TV on the Formula 1 broadcast. All right, we've got a replay here of Carlos Sainz going deep into turn number 1 on his flying. He comes out of the pits. He's driving on the inside line of the circuit, and there's just so much dust there that, Carlos Sainz has no grip and cuts turn number 1 as he comes out of the pit lane. And he's got a lap time deleted for that one, of course. All right. Oscar Piastri still now got DRS on George Russell. This is now his next shot then. So as he heads through the stadium section, he's just got to stay close. Oh, folks, any of you guys that were saying, Max has not got a penalty for causing a collision? Well, here we go. We have got Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton under investigation for causing a collision at turn number 1. So let's see what happens there. All right, the green dots here, folks, the green dots are the DRS detection points. If you pass through this green dot within 1 second of the driver ahead of you, you get DRS, just like Oscar Piastri has done there. And he'll be looking to overtake George Russell in towards 1. Oh, can he get that overtake done? Not really. He's a little bit too far back on this occasion. And Russell just gets such good drive, such good traction. Piastri's stuck there in the dirty air. And, well, he cannot get the overtake done in towards turn number 4. No, not ideal, not ideal. Okay. All right, Stroll gets ahead of Fernando Alonso. Interesting that they've switched around. Stroll was quite a bit slower during quali. Carlos Sainz has just had a fastest lap of the race, a 1:21.690. He, of course, won the race here last year, the smooth operator did, but unfortunately he's down in dead last right now. Of course, he has done a pit stop, so once all of that filters through, he should be a little bit further up. Any chance for rain? No chance for rain, folks. It's nice and sunny out in Mexico City. Track temperatures up at 51 degrees Celsius, and they are royally cooking everyone's tyres, to be honest. The McLaren's just barely hanging on, and oh my goodness me, I haven't looked at the gap up in the lead for a second, and it's up to 9 seconds. It was 3.5 seconds, probably 10 laps ago, but Norris has really been able to churn out consistent laps on those softs. Charles Leclerc unable to do so, having to do probably a little bit of lifting and coasting. Oh, Hamilton's over the radio saying, these guys are unbelievable. Thank you. So I think Hamilton has just been told about that penalty, and he said it's unbelievable. So there you go. Piastri now is well within DRS again of George Russell. This is now the 3rd time he's trying to overtake him on the exit of turn number 3. Is he good enough to get an exit? I think he's got a good exit here, actually. All of the overtake mode that he's got available to him, but he's still a little bit too far back. He needs to channel a little bit more of his Daniel Ricciardo before he can send a dive bomb to the inside. So we'll see what happens there. Fernando Alonso into the pits. Verstappen has been noted for gaining the track and leaving an advantage. I don't know if that means it's a penalty. Well, I don't think that's a penalty, but it's been noted. But we'll see if that has any future implications. So when Hamilton comes into the pits, he will have to take a 10-second penalty. You have to sit there in the pit lane for 10 seconds, and that'll drop him back much, much further. Currently, actually, let's see. Hamilton, it will normally take 22 seconds to do a pit stop around here in Mexico. Add on an extra 10 seconds, that takes it to 32 seconds, and Hamilton would come out in 17th position. Not great, to say the least. Not great. Hamilton is very angry, and, it is what it is. Imagine if they never told Hamilton, Hamilton saying the grip there is so small, the grip is so low, and Ferrari, of course, just saying, we know, don't worry about it, but you're going to have to get on with this race. Piastri again, here we are, every 1 minute and 20 seconds, we're back with Piastri trying to overtake George Russell, in for another episode. And is Piastri close enough this time? No, he's not. Russell is putting his car exactly where he needs to put it, and he's getting the traction exactly when he needs it, and Piastri cannot find a way past. Maybe it's time for an undercut, McLaren. Look at that. You got Russell just ahead, you got Antonelli just ahead, you got Verstappen just ahead. If you can nail a perfect outlap, then Piastri could be in for a shot of making up a few positions on the undercut. Okay. Verstappen, no further investigation, folks. No further investigation for leaving the track and gaining an advantage for that turn number 3 incident. So, yeah, I'll let you guys decide what it is. I'm not going to make any further comments under the threat of being called bias. Okay. Sainz is under pressure from Pierre Gasly, but Sainz has just got much quicker tyres, so I wouldn't suspect that's too much of an issue right now. And here we are, folks, back with another episode. Can Piastri overtake George Russell? Antonelli's into the pits, folks. Lap number 23 of 71. This is when the pit stops are meant to start happening. And, well, Antonelli has just come into the pits now, and we'll see what tyres he comes out on. Is it going to be the hards to go to the end of the race, or is it going to be the mediums? Does he think the mediums will last? That is the question. Of course, they'll have some data on Verstappen's lap times, they'll have some data on Hadjar and Bortoletto's lap times, but here comes Antonelli out of the pit lane, and it is a set of mediums, so it looks like the medium tyres might work to the end of the race, even though track temperatures are up at 50 degrees Celsius. Folks, I would like to point out, with a lot of people are saying Max Verstappen should get a time penalty. He was overtaking Lewis Hamilton. Well, he was trying to overtake Lewis Hamilton, and he's now how many seconds behind him? He's now 4-5 seconds behind him, and he ended up behind him. So he did cut the track, so did Hamilton, and Verstappen ended up behind. So, yeah. That's just an extra piece of information to consider whether Verstappen should get a penalty or not. Lewis Hamilton's coming into the pits as well, actually. So here we go, a 10-second time stop, 10-second pause before the mechanics change the tyres for Lewis Hamilton. It's going to be quite the long pit stop, and he's going to be dropping quite a few places back down the grid. Hopefully he comes out in a little bit of clean air. That'll be ideal, but losing 10 seconds for no reason is going to have a very big dampener on his podium chances. Behrman come into the pits, please. Well, Behrman's currently in a not even a net P3. He is in P3. Because Hamilton has got that 10-second time penalty, he's down into 14th. And yeah. All right. Where's my water bottle? Okay. Verstappen is asked what he's doing over the radio, and they're still deciding within a 1 or a 2 stop, I think, for Max. So we'll see how that goes. Do you think McLaren are sabotaging Oscar? No, it would make absolutely no sense to sabotage Oscar. The most prestigious championship in the world of Formula 1 is, of course, the Drivers' Championship. McLaren would be much happier that their driver won the Driver Championship rather than them winning the Constructors. So by sabotaging Oscar Piastri, they're just screwing over their chances of winning this, winning the title. And yeah, it just makes no sense. Piastri, I would like to point out, in 2023, Oscar Piastri in Mexico finished in 8th position. In 2024, he also finished in 8th position. And this year, it's also not looking that great. Behrman and Oscar Piastri both come into the pits. Behrman just comes out ahead of Lance Stroll, and I'll have a nice bit of clean air ahead of him as he heads towards turn number 1. And Oscar Piastri comes out ahead of Lewis Hamilton. So he has made up 1 position via Hamilton's penalty. All right. Also, folks, if you don't hit the like button, be sure to do so. We've got 5,000 people that have hit the like button. Very much is appreciated. We've got 42,000 people that are watching the stream right now. So yeah, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe, and yeah, would help out the channel a lot. The other thing I'd like to point out, folks, we did see from Carlos Sainz when he came out of the pits on a set of softs, he did set some purple laps. I suspect Piastri and Hamilton will be trying to do the same to gain some more lap time via an undercut. So let's see what Oliver Behrman can do. He's now also come out. He's no longer under threat of getting undercut by Antonelli. He made it out just ahead of Antonelli. Nice job by the Haas pit crew. I'm sure they're under a lot of pressure right now. They've never been in a podium scoring position, or they haven't been in a very long time. So yeah, props to them to bringing in the pit stop quickly, the mechanics getting the pit stop done properly without any sort of major issues, and Behrman out ahead of Antonelli. He is under pressure. He's got DRS off it. Antonelli will have DRS on He'll have DRS on Oliver Behrman. However, Behrman does have DRS off Bortoleto, and also Behrman managed to hold off Max Verstappen, who had DRS off him. So I'm sure Behrman will be able to continue with that. Behrman, in fact, just overtakes Bortoleto down the inside in towards turn number 1. Okay, Oscar Piastri does get ahead of Alex Albon, clearing traffic nice and quick there. Hard tyres for Alex Albon, and yeah, he's in here for the long haul. And if there's a safety car that comes out, that'll be fantastic for him. But as of right now, Carlos Sainz has been noted for speeding in the pit lane, ladies and gentlemen. That is normally a 5-second time penalty straight away for speeding in the pit lane. And yeah, well, we'll see if that gets awarded, but it's under investigation right now. Okay. Charles Leclerc is now 13 seconds back from Lando Norris. Norris is nearly building a pit stop worth of gap to Charles Leclerc. This is incredible. Verstappen and Tsunoda 3rd and 4th position on these medium tyres. It looks like they're also trying to go long here, trying to hope there's a safety car that can bring them back into contention for the race. Otherwise, it doesn't look like the Red Bull has the outright pace. I mean, Verstappen wasn't able to overtake Ollie Behrman, for crying out loud. How is he going to get close to Lando Norris? Hamilton stuck in a bit of traffic. Yeah, I mean, he is stuck behind Albon, but Piastri did overtake Albon on the previous lap quite easily. And Hamilton also now, he tucks into the slipstream, tucks open his DRS flap, and he gets ahead of Alex Albon in towards turn number 1. Not too much of a concern there. Carlos Sainz has been awarded a 5-second time penalty, so it's a bit of a rough operation here for the smooth operator, because, yeah, he got a 5-place grid penalty to start out the race, and then he's got a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So, yeah, not ideal for the Williams team. Okay, folks, I will show you the driver standings once all of the pit stops have come through. Showing you the driver standings right now are just a little bit irrelevant because, Piastri is yet to move up quite a few places. Verstappen's yet to do his pit stop. So once everyone's pit stops come through, I will show you the driver standings. Right now, it will just be sort of an inaccurate representation, so there's no point. Okay. Nico Hülkenberg is retired from this race. Looks like another mechanical issue for the Sauber team. That's the Ferrari power unit, of course. But yeah, here in Mexico City, the altitude is high, the air is thin, the temperatures are high, and the engine failures are extremely common. So Hülkenberg and Lawson are our 2 DNFs so far in the race. We're on lap number 28 of 71. The drivers out on the medium tyres after their pit stops for Behrman and Antonelli. Behrman does get ahead of Hadjar, and honestly, Behrman is making solid progress, and his pace this weekend has been incredible, I've got to say. Even during qualifying as well, out-qualifying Esteban Ocon by quite consistently this whole season. This weekend it was quite close between the two drivers, but regardless, Behrman's pace has been outstanding, and that opportunistic move when Verstappen and Hamilton and Antonelli were all squabbling away, Behrman picked the right racing line, went down the inside and said thank you very much, and he could be on for a podium for that exact move. Russell with the fastest lap of the race there on his medium tyres. He's going to be looking to undercut a few drivers with that one. Verstappen, of course, by the way things are going, I suspect Verstappen is going to go to around lap number 50. He's going to try at least to drag those medium tyres out to lap number 50 and then put on a softs to go to the end. That'll be a strategy. We'll see if it works out, but the 50 laps for the medium tyres is extraordinarily long. Norris is just cruising at the front. Indeed he is. I mean, honestly, his lap times have been so consistent between his best lap and his last lap. So he's done 30 laps at this point now on the soft tyres. And Pirelli said that if you do 30 laps on the soft tyres, you should be 3 seconds a lap slower compared to where you normally would be. But of course, if you take into account the fuel burn and things like that, and also the incredible consistency between Norris from the start of the race till right now, the gap between his best and his slowest and his most recent lap is 0.7 of a second. You look at it for Leclerc, the gap is 1.2 seconds. That's a half a second difference in terms of consistency, in terms of tyre wear between the two drivers. And Piastri's just gone purple in the first sector again, as I think he gets ahead of Bortoletto. But look at that, there's a big old bunch of cars just there on the right hand side of the screen. Okay. We've got 42,000 people tuning into the live stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in. And folks, be sure to hit the like button as well. Very much is appreciated. It's live stream's going pretty well. 42,000 people all around the world. That is absolutely mega. Right, I'm going to try one other thing to sort of prevent adverts popping up. Hopefully this means no more adverts for you guys, but let's see if that's the case. It's a little bit interesting with the YouTube algorithm as always, but I'll see if that works. But hopefully no more ads till the end of the stream. Okay. So we have got Piastri getting ahead of Isaac Hadjar. Very nice job there from Oscar Piastri, and he is very much cooking very, very hard. So good to see there from him. And well, he's not really cooking that hard, is he? He's made a few overtakes now, but he's still in 8th position, which is where he finished the Mexican Grand Prix last year and also the year before. So yeah, help out Oscar Piastri because this championship fight needs to get closer. All right, what else have we got going on then? 41 laps remain of this race. We've got quite a few of these drivers have done pit stops, but Lando Norris is just still driving on. Incredible consistency, I've got to say, from his from himself, and yeah. Is outstanding, really, from start to finish. And Charles Leclerc unable to compete. Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Yuki Tsunoda nowhere near. Also, I'd like to give big props to Yuki Tsunoda, actually. He is doing quite the fantastic job compared to all of his other races. He's only 12 seconds back from his teammate, actually, which is very, very good to see from Tsunoda. Finally making some progress with the Red Bull car. Yeah. How do you use the VPN, folks? If you want to use the VPN, you use the link in the description to get Surfshark VPN. You join an Austrian VPN server, and then you go into Google and search Servers TV F1, and you click the first link and watch the coverage. Okay. It's wrap Norris wins. Well, I wouldn't be so sure, folks. I wouldn't be so sure. There's always a chance of a VSC. And with Norris not yet to pit, with Leclerc not yet to pit, Verstappen, Tsunoda, a lot of these drivers who haven't pitted yet, they're going to benefit a lot from the VSC or maybe even a safety car. And that will really mix things up. So yeah, around here in Mexico, we always get loads of DNFs. And the only reason for those DNFs is because of Well, Charles Leclerc's into the pits is because of the high altitude. The temperatures are so high. You know, the Ferrari drivers are doing a lot of lifting and coasting here to make sure that their cars can make it to the end. But 2.2 second stop there for Charles Leclerc. Very nicely done. He comes out behind Max Verstappen. Verstappen, a whole bunch of clean air. So he should be able to manage his tyres now very nicely. And same thing for Tsunoda. Tsunoda actually holding up Ollie Behrman a little bit. And Charles Leclerc comes out ahead of Oliver Behrman. So that's all Ferrari needed to do. It seems unlikely that they're going to catch Lando Norris. However, staying ahead of Ollie Behrman is a good thing for the Ferrari team. Behrman does get ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. Nice overtake there from the British driver. And he's up there in fourth now. Net third position after Max comes into the pits. All right. Norris should come in now. His lap times are getting closer. Yeah, Norris's lap times have recently, in this last lap, has now just gone 4/10 slower. So maybe he made a mistake. Maybe the tyres are just going off a cliff a little bit. But if he comes into the pits now, he will still come out ahead of Max Verstappen. And if he cares at all about a Grand Slam, he will still be on track for a Grand Slam because he will still retain that lead. But Oliver Behrman's dad, he's cheering on his son, of course. It's good to see some shots of his dad rather than his girlfriend. Oliver Behrman, fourth position. Looking good. All right, ladies and gents, I'm going to put a poll into the chat. Will Ollie Behrman get a podium? So let me just start a poll. Behrman podium. This was a very similar scenario to what we had from Nico Hülkenberg, where Nico Hülkenberg, about halfway point in the race, he was on track for a podium, and then for the second half of the race, we were all holding our breaths to see if he could do it. So be sure to get your votes in, but it's looking pretty good so far. The drivers lose 22 seconds coming into the pits if they pit during normal race conditions. If there's a safety car or a virtual safety car, they only lose 11 seconds in the pit lane. Oh, it's close here. It's a 50-50 actually, between people thinking Behrman's going to get a podium and Behrman's not going to get a podium. Well, the question is, who is going to overtake Oliver Behrman? Is it going to be Kimi Antonelli? Antonelli's been stuck behind Behrman for a number of laps right now. And, they've been making their way through traffic, and Antonelli hasn't really been much of a threat. So if Antonelli's not going to overtake him, is it going to be Russell or is it going to be Verstappen? What's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Only time will tell. Right. Okie dokes. We are at the halfway point of the race, or nearly the halfway point of the race, and yeah, we have still got quite a few drivers yet to do their pit stops. With Norris, Verstappen, Tsunoda, Hadjar, Bortoletto, Albon, Gasly and Colapinto yet to do their pit stops. Gasly and Colapinto still fighting away. Alonso and Stroll still fighting away. It's actually quite interesting here. We've got a lot of the teammates right next to each other. You can see Gasly, Colapinto there, Alonso and Stroll just above me, Russell and Antonelli up there to the top right. They're very, very close to each other. Piastri does get ahead of Tsunoda, so a nice job there from Piastri, but now the main task is, can he catch up to George Russell and get an overtake done, because he needs these points in the championship. He desperately needs them. His form hasn't been amazing. His performances around this racetrack have not been good whatsoever, and yeah, what can I say? All right, Lando Norris into the pits, ladies and gentlemen. So that is it going to be a quick stop for the McLaren crew? They're not really under any sort of pressure here, and it is a quick stop. So finally, we do see a 2.6 second pit stop for the McLaren crew, and that is some nice progress. Okay. So talking about Max Verstappen, this is the big talking point. What is Max going to do now towards the end of this race? He is going to hang it out there, hoping for a safety car. He's going to go on to a set of softs, most likely, around lap number 50 and try and make some incredible progress. The thing is, though, if he comes into the pits now, he is going to come out quite a ways back. He's going to come out, I think, behind Oliver Behrman, actually. So Verstappen is going to have a lot of overtaking to do. Oh, Russell said over the radio, I've got a lot more pace here, and the team just said, feel free to overtake. Russell down the inside, Antonelli looks to shut the door on him, and that was very close to contact going in towards turn number 1 between the two Mercs. Hamilton gets ahead of Tsunoda, but Yeah, this was super duper close between Russell and Antonelli. Thanks for the donation there, Rockstar Artist. Or Rock Artist? Not Rockstar Artist. We got 44,000 people tuned into the live stream. That's very nice. That's from Lewis Hamilton's number, of course, but unfortunately, not much progress is being made for him. He did overtake Tsunoda moments ago, but he's 3 seconds off the back of Oscar Piastri. So yes, just to confirm, folks, you lose 22 seconds coming into the pits. So Verstappen is 8 seconds off the lead. So if he comes into the pits now, he drops 40 seconds back. Where does that put him? That puts him behind Esteban Ocon. Alonso's not into the pits. Alonso is retiring. Oh my god, guys. If you're going to have a mechanical DNF, how about you stop on the side of the circuit, bring out the safety car, do us all a favor. Don't bring it into the pits. Like that's just a bit boring, to be frankly honest with you guys. So yeah, not the best move there from Alonso. He could have parked up on the, in sector 2, and that would have brought out a VSC or a safety car or something. But more unlucky luck. What was I going to say? Unlucky luck. More bad luck for Fernando Alonso. And, some people will say that he is the unluckiest driver in the world. And, well, I think to an extent that is very, very true. Russell has been told over the radio to manage these front brakes, and he's like, "Oh no, I've got a Ferrari and Haas ahead. I want to fight for the podium." That is what George Russell said. So I think the Mercedes pit crew are telling him, back off a little bit. These front brakes are overheating because you're right behind your teammate. And Russell's like, no, I don't really want to. I want to try and get a podium here. And well, he can try and overtake. If he thinks he's got more pace than Antonelli, then he should have a better shot at overtaking Behrman. Antonelli's been nowhere near Behrman to overtake him. Russell may have a better chance. So, this is Mercedes' perspective. They want a podium. They don't really care that Behrman could be on for his first one. They want the podium. So does it make sense? Would you switch around the two drivers? Aston Martin mechanical failures may bore fans. I mean, yeah, it's just not really surprising, really, from Aston Martin. They have had some issues earlier on, and this is the same Mercedes power unit. We've also had 3 of the 4 power units that have retired so far. We've had the Mercedes one, we've had the Ferrari one, and the Honda one. Only the Alpine one is yet to retire, and that is with Franco Colapinto and Pierre Gasly in this race. Piastri is now within DRS range, actually, of George Russell. On the previous lap, Russell was 0.6 slower for whatever reason, must have made a mistake, but Piastri now, he is in prime position to make an overtake. It's going to be tough because Russell has got DRS from his teammate Antonelli ahead of him, but Piastri's got the fastest car on the grid. He's also got a reasonably fresh set of tyres. Come on, Piastri, let's see what you can do. Yuki Tsunoda, a 12-second pit stop for Tsunoda. Did he have contact with someone or something? Don't know why it took that long for him to get a pit stop. But, yeah, we had quite the good battle. In fact, Esteban Ocon and Alex Albon were battling away moments ago. And they managed to keep it very, very clean while racing through turns 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I feel like Max is just going to stay out here on the tyres, waiting for the things to... Yeah, I think Max is going to just carry on these tyres, isn't he? It does make sense. Just hope for a safety car, hope for something to help him out, because if he comes into the pits now, it's bad news. You're coming out behind Esteban Ocon. He will have fresh softs compared to everyone else being on used mediums, which will allow him to make super duper good progress up the field. But here he is. Max Verstappen comes into the pits. He's not going to hang it out much longer. 34 laps left at the end of the race. Is that going to be softs? Are the softs going to work? Norris did do 34 laps on his soft, but he's got incredible consistency on those soft tyres with the McLaren team. The McLaren's super good on its tyres. So, right, here comes Verstappen then, slowly out the pits. Oh, sorry, apologies there for the mistake. Verstappen is coming out ahead of Carlos Sainz and Esteban Ocon, not behind them. But regardless, Verstappen is in 8th position, and you can see he's barely out ahead of Carlos Sainz, and that gap to Lewis Hamilton is huge. Look at it, 9 seconds. He's got 34 laps to firstly close up this 9-second gap, then overtake Hamilton, overtake Piastri, Russell, Antonelli, and then get up to the top. It's going to be a tough one, unless, of course, everyone's medium tyres drop off a cliff. If everyone's medium tyres drop off a cliff and everyone has to come in for a 2-stop, then it'll be a totally different story. But with the fact that Lando Norris has just had a purple fastest lap, probably indicates to me that there's a lot of tyre life left in those mediums, and they're going to be driving along for quite the long time. It is a little bit interesting though, folks, a little bit interesting, because Pirelli said you could do 50 laps on the medium tyres, and none of the drivers that started the race on the mediums managed to go 50 laps. We got 34 out of Hadjar, we got 37 out of Bortoleto, 36 out of Sonoda, 33 out of Gasly, 37 out of Max, but none of them getting close to the 50 or 45 that Pirelli promised. So, you know, all of these drivers here could be running the risk of their tyres really degrading towards the end of this race, and we'll just have to see how it works out for them. Okay. Oh, look at this. The percentage chance of Oliver Bearman is slowly creeping up. As every lap goes by, an extra percent goes towards Oliver Bearman. He's holding on in third position. You know, there is a bit of a queue behind him, and Antonelli can't get past him, and that's why Russell can't get past Antonelli, and that's why Piastri can't get ahead of Russell. So, in essence, Bearman is significantly hindering Oscar Piastri's championship chances. How interesting. Gabriel Bortoleto, fastest in the second and the third sectors. That is really nice there from Gabriel Bortoleto. Fresh set of soft tyres, of course. And yeah, he was looking to get them warmed up, and he's certainly done that, hasn't he? All right. What is the pit lane time? 22 seconds, folks. The drivers lose 22 seconds in the pit lane. Can Max make it to the end? He could. You can see there just at the top of the tyres stats, you can see Lando Norris did 34 laps on his soft tyres. Max Verstappen has also got to do 34 laps on his soft tyres. So he should be able to make it work, considering the second half of the race will have less fuel in the car, so that means less weight on the car, and that should help the tyre wear situation. Okay. Russell is whining. I mean, is that anything new, to be honest? I don't think so. So, yeah. Okie dokes. Max is on the soft, he will struggle. Yeah, I mean, the Red Bull doesn't have amazing tyre wear this weekend to start off with. So then closing that gap, he's going to put a lot of effort into closing that gap, and even in 3 laps he's closed that gap up from 9 to now 6.5 seconds, so incredible pace there from Max. But the question is, how long will these soft tyres last for? Hamilton is also in a reasonable amount of clean air, so Verstappen can close up on him quickly, overtake him, and then still have a batch of clean air ahead of him. However, when he does catch up to Piastri, or if he does catch up to Piastri, Russell and Antonelli, he's going to have a much harder time getting past. With a lot of dirty air. Well, 4 cars worth of dirty air behind him. Or sorry, ahead of him. Can Max still get a podium? He could, if a lot of things go his way and his soft tyres don't degrade. That's the big if. If his soft tyres don't degrade, then he can, but we'll see how it goes. All right, can you see the championship standings? Yes, that is correct. Let me put the championship standings up. Where has it gone? There we go. All right. So they're just going to come over here on the right-hand side of your screen, cover up the tyre information. You can see Lando Norris gains 25 points. Piastri will gain 8 positions in this situation, and Norris will end up 3 points ahead of Piastri in the championship, and Max Verstappen will only gain 4 points in this situation, and his title hopes will be very much over, with a gap up at 47 points with only 4 races left to go, or that will be very, very tough to close up, unless, of course, there's a DNF. So that is currently what the standings look like. And then it will once again become a 2-horse race. Okay. What do you think is the net position for Max? Well, I think Max could close up a few more places. Like, he could get ahead of Max of Hamilton. I think. Just look at that. 1 minute ago I was talking about the gap being 6.5 seconds. Now it's under 5. So Verstappen is closing up on Hamilton super duper quickly. So I think Verstappen should get past Hamilton. Then as he closes up to Piastri, there's a DRS train. And at that point, it's anyone's game, and I really have no idea on who will be able to get ahead. So, yeah. Okay. But just looking at those laps there, Max, who's on a fresh set of soft tyres, he's done a 21.5, and Lando Norris, who's on a fresh set of mediums, is doing a 21.7. So yeah, there's only 0.3 of a difference between the softs and the mediums, and Max Verstappen is, well, his pace is looking good so far, and we'll see what progress he can make. Further down the field, though, we have got Colapinto just getting ahead of Albon as Albon comes out of the pits, and Lando Norris is now going to start approaching and lapping some more drivers. He's already lapped Pierre Gasly, and we'll see what he can do against Albon and Colapinto. Ooh, Norris over the radio, not 100% confident with the way the tyres are going and everything, but he'll be in tyre conservation mode for the majority of this race. Where can I watch the broadcast for free, folks? If you want to watch the broadcast, it is Surfshark VPN, using the link in the description. Then you get the Austrian VPN server, and then Service TV. That's how you can watch it. We've got around 650 people watching it using this method. It definitely does work. The commentary is in German, so of course, if you don't understand German, you just mute it and you listen to me instead. Okay. What happened to Yuki? What happened to Yuki, actually? Well, his pace on the softs just hasn't been all that great. Wait, actually, Yuki was 12 seconds behind from Max, before the pit stops. Now look at the gap, and it is over 30 seconds. So I think in the final 10 laps, or final 5 or 6 laps of that medium tyre stint for Tsunoda to Verstappen, Tsunoda's tyres were just much, much worse off. He lost a lot of time there. And even comparing the lap times now, Tsunoda's going 0.4 of a lap slower than Verstappen is through all of the consecutive laps. So they've both got a reasonable amount of clean air, but Tsunoda's 0.4 slower. So that's what it is. We've got 28 laps left to go, ladies and gents. Lando Norris is 19 seconds up in the lead. Wow. The biggest margin Max Verstappen has won the Mexican Grand Prix is, I think, 17 seconds, actually. 17 seconds is the biggest margin Verstappen has won. Norris is already 19 seconds clear. Oh, yes, it wasn't that. Apologies, folks. Tsunoda did get a 12-second stop. So it's a little bit of a pace difference, but also a 12-second stop for Tsunoda. Did anyone understand or find out why Tsunoda got a 12-second pit stop? Because I didn't see the replay of it, or at least I wasn't paying attention when the replay came up, but I don't think he damaged his front wing or anything, so some sort of issues with his pit stops. Okie dokes. Stroll into the pits. Looks like Stroll's on a two-stop strategy then, actually. First driver to come in for his second pit stop. He did 26 laps on the softs. Now he's done 18 laps on the mediums and has decided, oh no, the medium tyres aren't so good. I'm going back onto the softs right till the end of the race. Alex Albon, fastest lap of the race. He's now bolted on a set of soft tyres, and the hard to soft tyre strategy has worked out fantastically. He's done 40 laps on the hards, and now he can do the remaining 27 on the soft tyres. Okay. Also, folks, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, be sure to do so. Hopefully, you can make our way towards 208,000 subscribers. I always say it wrong now. But yeah, be sure to subscribe. It goes a long way to help out the channel. And actually, wait, hold on. We could actually break a record here. The most subscribers gained we could gain 1,000 subscribers in 1 minute. We've got 50,000 people watching here. So what we're going to do to break one of the YouTube records, or at least try to break one of the YouTube records, is so the next time Lando Norris comes across the start-finish line, anyone that isn't subscribed, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If we gain 1,000 subscribers within the span of those 20 seconds, we should break the record of the most subscribers gained in the span of 30 seconds. So just wait. Now Norris is just coming through the stadium section, and then if everyone smashes the subscribe button, then that would be mega. All right. So here he comes. 3, 2, 1. Everyone hit the subscribe button, and we'll see how many subscribers we gain. We're currently on 207,850. F1 Game, have you noticed it okay and alright pretty often? I do notice that sometimes, and unfortunately, I would like to sort of stop that from happening, but I am a amateur commentator at best, so I do apologise for the mistakes in commentary. Oh, look at this. We've nearly gained, there we go, we've gained 1,000 subscribers in what's that, 25 seconds? New world record, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. That's mega. very much is appreciated. And also everyone that's just hit the subscribe button, also be sure to hit the like button. Hopefully we can hit our target of 8,000 likes. Brilliant. All right, back to the race. Oscar Piastri is now within DRS range of Antonelli. They've switched the two drivers around. Russell did have more pace at the end of the day. He's now going to chase after Oliver Behrman, and Oscar Piastri is now going to try and catch up and overtake Kimi Antonelli. What's it going to be, folks? Is Kimi Antonelli going to be able to hold off Oscar Piastri? Is George Russell going to be able to overtake Oliver Behrman and get a podium? Let's see what happens. Max has also got DRS on Lewis Hamilton. It's all getting very, very exciting here on lap number 47 of the Mexican Grand Prix. Stroll's trying to overtake Albon, Piastri's trying to overtake Antonelli, and here comes Max Verstappen as well. All right, they may head their way through the stadium section. Let's keep an eye out on the lap times here for Behrman and Russell as well. So Russell's now in clean air. Behrman has been lapping in clean air for quite a while. A 22.3 from Behrman on his previous lap. And Russell did a 22.4. Behrman improves by 0.2. Russell goes slower by 1/10. Interesting. And now the DRS games begin. In towards turn number 1 we go, and we have got Piastri getting close, but not close enough. And Verstappen does get ahead, I think, of Lewis Hamilton. Yes, he does, in towards turn number 7. They don't fight as hard as they did before, and Max is up into P7. Piastri now trying to go around the outside. Antonelli is getting super duper defensive. He misses his braking point, goes a little bit deep. Piastri could send one to the inside at turn number 6. Does he have the enough pace? Ooh, he tries one around the outside, but it's not close enough, and it is super close and very much under pressure. We got Sainz into the pit lane, and that's quite the long pit stop for Sainz. Does he finally come out, or is he... Oh, Sainz served his 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pits, so that's why Sainz had a long pit stop. He had to serve a 5-second time penalty, because on the previous time he came into the pits, he was going too quick. All right, Piastri now. Oh, Piastri's under pressure. He's going to be under pressure from Max as well. Max is on 12-lap-old soft tyres. Piastri's on 22-lap-old mediums. So Max has got a big old pace advantage. Oh, and now the question is, will he be able to take advantage of that and get ahead of Piastri? It's going to be a DRS train. But let's see. Let's see. All right. Oscar Piastri into the pits. Piastri's into the pits. Antonelli's into the pits. Hamilton into the pits. Verstappen up into 5th position. Is he going to try and do Antonelli a 4.6 second pit stop, and Piastri comes out ahead of him, so he doesn't need to even overtake him on the racetrack. Mercedes messed up the pit stops, and everyone's in all together. Piastri's out in 6th. Antonelli gets dropped back, and... very, very nicely done from the McLaren crew. Max is now up into P5. Question remains, though, will Max Verstappen be able to make it to the end of the race with the same set of tyres? We've seen now loads of other drivers decide soft tyres are the way forward. Their soft tyres are much better than the mediums for the majority of the race. Are they going to be able to... Will Max be able to make it to the end? Or is he going to put on another set of soft tyres? Who knows? He could wait a little bit, Max could, so he's still got pace in his softs right now. He's also got 3.5 seconds worth of clean air, so this could be very, very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Verstappen could start attacking. He could go maximum attack, gain 3.5 seconds on the overcut compared to everyone else, if everyone behind him can't switch on their tyres quickly enough, and then come into the pits and then be in with a real fighting shot of maybe 4th, maybe 5th. Behrman and Russell both into the pits. Oh my goodness me. Everyone's coming in for the 2-stop, and Verstappen up into P3 now. Russell, a 3.2 second stop for him. Was it a quick stop for Oliver Behrman? Yes, it was, and he maintains the 3rd position, or the net 3rd position, in this race as of right now. Ooh, this is getting very, very exciting. Ladies and gents, this is what I was saying, maybe 10 laps ago is a little boring. It is not boring right now. The question is, can Norris make it to the end of this race? Can Leclerc make it to the end of this race? You can see everyone who came into the pits around lap number 30 or so, they only did 25 laps on those medium tyres, 25, 24, 23, and they were decided, nah, we want the soft, they're much quicker. So let's see what's going to happen. World champion. All right, let's also folks, if let's just say hypothetically, if everything stays exactly the way it is, which is not, because Piastri is about to overtake Esteban Ocon, which he just does so in fact as he heads towards turn number 7. So very nicely done there from Oscar Piastri. But in terms of the points standings, let me quickly bring that up onto the screen for you folks. So you can see here, Norris still gaining 25 points. Piastri, however, he's gaining 8, and Verstappen is gaining 15. So that still makes it very much in contention. Verstappen will be within, what's that now? 36 points, so it's a little bit closer. Still not a huge margin, but it's better than, of course, being further down the grid. So maybe the championship is still on, who knows. But Piastri will be losing the lead for the first time since Saudi Arabia. Since then, Piastri's been leading the championship. It has been incredible for him, and a great run of consistency has finally come to an end here in Mexico. Russell isn't going to let Piastri through. I don't think he is. Russell, well, of course, Piastri got the overtake done on Antonelli for free through the pits because the McLaren pit stop was very quick. The Mercedes one, not so much. So Piastri came out ahead there. And then the gap now is 3 seconds. They're all on the exact same amount of tyre wear. Like, they're all on 3, 4, 5 lap old soft tyres. And, well, does Piastri have that pace difference to close up on George Russell? Does he have it to overtake George Russell? I really do not know. Honda versus Toyota. Well, we'll see what Oliver Behrman can do. It's 4th position for him right now, but Max may not come into the pits, you know. That is a very real possibility. Max is 16 seconds up the road of Oliver Behrman, and there's a very real chance that he just hangs it out there. He's got a 16-second margin, which is more than enough. With this 21 laps remain, Max could go pretty much a second slower, 7/10 slower every single lap, and still manage to stay out ahead of Ollie Behrman. So, yeah, who knows? Russell purple, but the thing is now Behrman is on a fresh set of tyres, so he's going to close that gap up as best as he possibly can. And 21 laps remain, and the whole top field is converging, apart from, of course, Lando Norris, who is 23 seconds up the road, a full pit stop ahead of Charles Leclerc. An entire pit stop. That is incredible domination from Norris, and when it counted, he is really delivering. At the start of the season there were a lot of bottle jokes and bottle factory, this, that and the other, but yeah, not so much right now, and things haven't been going great for Ollie Behrman. Okay. Alright, we got 50,000 people tuned into live stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button, be sure to subscribe. This is quite one of the best live streams we've had this season so far, actually, in terms of views and stuff like that. The action has been pretty good. Russell, oh my goodness me, here we go, ladies and gents. Russell is within DRS of Oliver Behrman. So Behrman has held off Antonelli. He's held off Max Verstappen. Can he hold off George Russell? He's got no DRS ahead of him. It's a fresh set of soft tyres. What's it going to be? Who's going to get that 4th position, or maybe even 3rd if Verstappen comes into the pits? Ooh, this is going to be tight, folks. This is going to be tight. They head their way down the start-finish straight. Russell is 8/10 back at the start of the straight. He's half a second back, 4/10 back at the end of the straight. 4/10 for free because of the DRS. An extra 20 kilometers per hour that he's just gained down the start-finish straight. Incredible from George Russell. And yeah, let's see how it goes. Was there a safety car? No, there was not. I mean, if oh wait, has Sainz just been noted for speeding in the safety car, speeding in the pit lane again? Oh my goodness me. The driver who won here last year, Carlos Sainz, got a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane on his previous pit stop. He's just come into the pits to serve that 5-second time penalty, get a fresh set of tyres, and when he came in to do that, he got another speeding in the pit lane, and he's currently under investigation. Oh my god. What can I say, man? It's not been it's been a rough operation for Carlos Sainz, to be honest. The smooth operator no longer fits, and yeah, Williams are throwing away quite a few points. Well, to be fair, they weren't really scoring any points anyway, but yeah, not ideal from the Williams team. All right, Russell, here he is then. Round number 2 of Oliver Bearman versus George Russell. At the start of the straight, the gap is 8/10, and as they make their way down in towards turn number 1, 3/10. Ooh, Russell's very close here, actually. Does he get the better drive out of turn number 3? He does get pretty good drive, but he's not close enough to send a move, and he's not sending a Daniel Ricciardo dive bomb either. All right, Leclerc's come over the radio saying there's some debris outside the last corner. I think Leclerc's trying to call a safety car or a VSC to help with his pit stop situation, but who knows? All right, so Russell now very much applying a lot of pressure to Oliver Bearman. This is also holding up George Russell, so allowing Oscar Piastri to catch up, but Piastri's not doing much of that, to be honest. Here the gap is still at 3 seconds, which it was a few laps ago, and Oscar Piastri is there in 6th place. Okay, I'm going to have some water because my throat is really hurting at this point. Yeah, give me a sec. Okay, round number 3, ladies and gents. Oh, Russell has a bad exit out of turn number 17, and he's now more than 1 second back from Bearman. He also loses a significant chunk of momentum. However, when he passed through the DRS detection point, he was within 1 second, so he gains another 3/4 of lap time for being within 1 sec. Yeah. What happened with Alonso? Mechanical issue. Same thing for Hulkenberg. Same thing for Lawson. Nobody's crashed. Everyone just came into the pits and retired due to mechanical problems with their car. All right. I'm going to rerun the poll here, folks. For Oliver Bearman, we've got 13,000 people that have already voted for it, but let's rerun it now. We've got 17 laps left of this race. Bearman isn't really closing the gap up to Max Verstappen, and is Verstappen going to come into the pits? It looks unlikely. So let's see if Bearman will score a podium according to you guys. Is it looking even more unlikely, or is it looking less likely? Okay, lap number 17 of... Oh, lap 17 laps remain, sorry. And we have just hit 8,000 likes, which is mega. Thanks, everyone, for hitting the like button. And here we go, then. Oliver Bearman, again, has now broken DRS. Ollie Bearman has done it. He's broken DRS to George Russell. Russell drops off the back of Ollie Bearman, loses, 6/10 on the previous lap. Oscar Piastri has taken that as a sign to catch up and speed up. So now he is within... Well, he's super duper close, actually. He's closed that gap up by a full second on the previous lap. He's now closed up another 2/10 as well. So Piastri getting close now to George Russell. He needs every single point Oscar Piastri can get his hand on, because, yeah, this title fight is going down to the wire. 15 laps for Leclerc at this pace. Yeah, Leclerc, I think, can hold on to this pace. Max is closing the gap up. I would like to clarify here, folks. Max is gaining at an incredible rate on Charles Leclerc. Well, okay, maybe not incredible, but the thing is, Max's soft tyres are now 20 laps old. Charles's medium tyres are 23 laps old. So there's a bit of a tyre difference there, but at this point, the soft tyres are starting to show their signs of wear, and sooner or later, they're going to start falling off a cliff, and then Max is going to have to start thinking about whether he's going to do a pit stop or not. I don't think he will, though. Surely he just hangs it out there. Not with the fact that if he comes into the pits, he'll have to overtake Antonelli, Piastri, Russell, and Bearman to keep a 3rd place. Yeah, look at this. The vote now. 76% of people think Bearman is going to get is not going to get the podium. And oh my goodness me, Carlos Sainz. Not in a 5-second timeout. See, it's a drive-through penalty. That is driving through the pit lane. 22 full seconds of driving through the pits at a limited speed. And, well, what can I tell you, folks? What can I tell you? I mean, at this point, they should probably just retire the car, to be honest. I don't think there's much point in carrying on. So, Carlos Sainz... I guess now we know. If you speed in the pit lane once, you get a 5-second time penalty. If you do it again, it's going to be a drive-through penalty. Wow. Didn't really expect that one, to be honest. Oh, actually, what, why not just for the triple whammy? Surely, when he's doing the drive through in the pit lane, just speed again. That'd be quite funny actually if he does that. And he goes under investigation again. But I think Carlos Sainz is just gonna come into the pits surely at that point. There's not much point carrying on if he's gonna come out another 20 seconds back from where he already is. Piastri is now within DRS range of George Russell. So, 4 laps ago we were talking about can Piastri get ahead of George Russell? Can Russell get ahead of Behrman? Now we're talking about can Piastri get ahead of Russell? Here we go then. 9/10 is the gap at the start of the straight. They head their way down and Piastri is super duper close. This was just like it was before the pit stops. And we'll see if it continues that way. Sainz has just been told box for a drive-through penalty, and he does not even reply. No reply from Carlos Sainz. Clearly very, very frustrated. And there we go. He drives into the pits, and he might even just retire. Okay. We have got Piastri getting very close now. Behrman is a few seconds, well, not even a few. He's 1.2 seconds ahead of George Russell. So he's pretty much going to have to hold the next 14 laps at a super consistent pace if he wants to have any sort of hope of keeping this 4th place. This will still be a best fourth position for Haas. That is the best ever position that they've finished in a Formula 1 race, and Oliver Behrman will be writing himself in the history books for the Haas team alongside Kevin Magnussen, who I think scored a 4th place for them as well. Oh, if he retires, you'd have to serve the penalty next race. That is true. So maybe he'll come into the pits now, but look at that. He's not even that far back. He's still ahead of Gasly and Colapinto. That just goes to show you how bad the Alpines are. Sainz has served a 5-second time penalty and pretty much a 22-second drive penalty. That's what it is driving through the pit lane. And still, he is ahead of the Alpines. Okay, Piastri, again, very, very close in through turn 1, in towards turn 4. He looks for a dive bomb. He's going to have to go for one at some point. This is critical for the championship, folks. You can see the driver in 5th position gains 10 points. Piastri is only gaining 8. He needs every single point that he can get. And yeah, he might just be regretting that swap that he did back in Monza. He says, oh, I'll swap it around with Lando Norris, and they listen to the papaya orders. Yeah, he might just be regretting that one. Show the championship standings? Indeed, I will. Here we go, folks. The championship standings just loading up on the left-hand side of your screen there. Lando Norris gaining 25 points. Oscar Piastri gaining 8. Max Verstappen gaining 15. The gap between Piastri and Norris is 3. Gap between Verstappen and Norris, if the positions end in this way, would be 46. Is that correct? Yeah, 46. No, 36. My maths is wrong. Yeah, 36 points is the gap, which again is possible. But the chances are going down for Max Verstappen. He definitely did need a race win with Norris ideally finishing down in 3rd or 4th or something. All right, Piastri again heading down the start-finish straight. Can he get an overtake done on George Russell? 3/10 again. He's too deep, too far back in towards the braking zone, and he just needs a perfect exit. He also needs to force a mistake from Russell. To be frankly honest with you guys, he does need to force a mistake because it's just not looking all that amazing for Russell, for Piastri right now. He has got pace, but it's just nowhere near where it should be, and yeah. Just look at the lap times, folks. Just look at the lap times. Well, actually, don't look at the lap times because Norris is on medium tyres and Piastri's on soft, so it's different strategies. But if you do compare the lap times, last Grand Prix in COTA, if both drivers were in clean air on the same tyres with the same amount of fuel, Piastri, on average, would be 9/10 slower than Lando Norris. Honestly, his downfall does need to be studied a little bit because that is quicker than the Red Bull downfall that we had in 2024. So yeah, Piastri has got to get his stuff together. Going in 2 weeks' time, folks, we're going to have a sprint race in Brazil. The sprint race is always mega at Brazil. So much overtaking happens there. And, of course, there'll be 8 points up for grabs for the drivers that comes in 1st position. So that'll be another thing to consider. Right. So we have got 12 laps remaining of this race. Lando Norris is 27 seconds clear. 27 seconds. Oh, Russell just loses out here to Piastri. What a move from Oscar Piastri. He gets the DRS down the next DRS zone, and fantastic driving by Oscar Piastri. He's made up that point, an extra 2 points in the championship. That means Lando Norris is on 357, Oscar Piastri 356. If it ends in this way, of course, Russell will have his shot at re-overtaking Oscar Piastri. And then, with 11 laps left to go, ladies and gentlemen, Oscar Piastri has got a 3-second gap to Oliver Behrman, who could hand him an extra couple of points to his name. That would give him an extra 2 points as well, if he can overtake Oliver Behrman. And that would also put him 1 point ahead of Lando Norris, rather than 1 point behind. Piastri has just broken DRS to George Russell, so it looks like, Piastri has finally found some more pace around in his car, and he's able to overtake the Mercs. If he can overtake the Mercs, surely he can overtake Ollie Behrman. That's at least what we thought. But Russell tried to overtake Behrman, to no avail. Antonelli tried to overtake Behrman, to no avail. And neither could Max Verstappen, at least on the track. Max did eventually overtake him via strategy, but not during outright pace. Okay. Max's gap to Leclerc up at the front, ladies and gents, is also closing up. It was 10 seconds about 10 laps ago. It's now down to 5 seconds. So if it carries on going the same way that it has been going, by the end of the race, Verstappen should be within Charles Leclerc's DRS to go for second place in the race. Yeah, Piastri heard me talking smack about him, and he was like, right, I've got to show F1 Gamer what I'm doing, what I'm made of, and here he is. I mean, I've not been talking smack as much as the media has been, to be honest, but no. Piastri's made a good recovery, up 2 positions from where he started in the race, but my drive of the day most certainly has got to be Oliver Behrman. There's no other way to put it. Great drive, great pace, great consistency from the rookie. You know, as some of his fellow rookies have got podiums this season, he, unfortunately, well, the way things are going for Max Verstappen, may not get one. Oh, folks, on the previous lap, Verstappen gains a full 7/8 on Charles Leclerc. I don't know if Leclerc's just made a big mistake, but actually he did, yeah. In the final sector, Leclerc lost 7/10 of time. So, yeah, mistakes are starting to creep in now for Charles Leclerc, and Verstappen is ready to pounce on them ASAP. Okay. With what tyres, the rims, I don't know what tyres Max is going to have at the end of this race. He's going to have 34-lap-old soft tyres, which is going to be incredible that he's been pushing so hard on them and still managing to keep the pace up, despite having all of those tyre temperature issues earlier on in the weekend. Antonelli gets ahead of Russell. I don't know if that was a switch orchestrated by the Mercedes team, but either way, the two drivers swap around. Russell, of course, he did say that he was quicker than Antonelli and he thought he'd be able to overtake Behrman. That, of course, has not happened. So maybe they've swapped around on purpose. Maybe Russell actually was just slower. Okay. We'll see though. Russell is still holding within DRS range of Antonelli, and the gap between Behrman and Piastri, 2.8 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, 2.8. It's not dipping down by the hugest of margins, and yeah, we'll keep our eyes peeled for that one. Verstappen's gap brought it from 5 to 4 at the Mercedes team, and here we go. We've got a replay here, and no, it was an orchestrated switch by the Mercedes team. Antonelli up into 6th position and Russell down into 7th. What does Norris need for the Grand Slam? Norris just needs the fastest lap of the race if he wants a Grand Slam, which he could very much do. He could pit on the final lap of the race, put on a set of soft tyres, and then set the fastest lap and get a Grand Slam. And he would still come out ahead of Leclerc because he is 28 full seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc, which is wild. There's no reason... He'll do it with 2 laps to go. He probably won't get DRS because there won't be any traffic ahead of him to give him DRS. But regardless, I think with a fresh set of soft tyres and low fuel, Norris will probably still get fastest lap. And the thing is, though, you don't really want to take that risk. There's 0 points involved in it. If there was 1 point available, then yeah, sure, Norris would come into the pits and try and get that 1 point, but it's not available, and why take that risk? You know, McLaren have messed up pit stops in the past. Imagine Norris comes into the pits to try and get a fastest lap of the race, and then McLaren mess up the pit stop, and Leclerc ends up winning the race. It's just not worth the risk in a championship battle as tight as this one. Max is hunting, gap down to 3. It was at 5, it's then 4, and now it's 3, and Leclerc's pace is falling off a cliff. Ferrari, it must be telling him to lift and coast, but he's still up there in second place, so we've got a fight on our hands. Verstappen versus Leclerc for second place in the race, and Piastri is also getting pretty close to Ollie Behrman as well, actually. How is Max catching up? I have no idea. He is on soft tyres that are 30 laps old, and there should be theoretically 0 life left in them. Pirelli said you could do a max of 25 laps on the softs, and Max is, well, Max has clearly just read the piece of information saying if you don't give your tyres consent to degrade, they won't degrade, and just great lap times all around from Max, super duper consistent, and the same thing for Lando Norris up in the lead as well. Yeah, Piastri gap down to now 2 seconds between himself and Behrman, so he's pushing nice and hard. 7 laps remain, anything can happen. Piastri could get up into 4th, Verstappen could get up into 2nd, and, well, Verstappen and Leclerc could also crash. That would be quite the turn of events, to say the least, wouldn't it? But Leclerc's losing pace, and, well, he's got a raging Max Verstappen in his mirror. At this rate, now Norris would lead the championship at 1 point. Indeed, he will. Folks, I'm not going to pop the standings up, but I'll just read them out to you. If the positions finish the way that they are, Lando Norris is on 357 points, Oscar Piastri 356, and Max Verstappen 321. That would put him 36 points back for Max Verstappen, and 1 point back for Oscar Piastri. All right. Max gap down to 2.7, Piastri gap down to 1.7. We're cooking, folks, we're cooking. 7 laps left of this race. You can't miss out on the final few laps of the Mexican Grand Prix. Track temperature's also down a little bit. I think that's something that will definitely be helping Max Verstappen. Track temperature now down to 47 degrees. Of course, at the start of the race, it was 53 degrees. So that's a 6 degrees Celsius difference, which is, of course, helping out the tyre life situation at the Red Bull side of things. Please tell me what the lap record is. The lap record, I think, during a race is a 1 minute 17 or a 1 minute 18. I can't remember. It was by Valtteri Bottas. If someone could let me know in the chat, that'd be incredible. Okay, Piastri down to 1.5, Max down to 2.5, both drivers taking significant chunks out of their rivals ahead of them. This is Formula 1, ladies and gentlemen. This is Formula 1. Well, you could probably exclude the fact that half the grid has been lapped, or a third of the grid has been lapped, but final few laps, you got drivers going right till the end, right to the wire, to get some overtakes made. What happened to Alonso? Alonso, Hulkenberg and Lawson, all mechanical DNFs on their part. The engines or the gearboxes, whatever it was, reliability issues have plagued all of them, and they have retired from the race. All right. So, here we go then. Piastri 1.3 seconds back, Max 2 seconds back. Game on, ladies and gentlemen. Game on. In fact, if both of these drivers get within DRS range, I'm going to have to start playing the Hans Zimmer music in my headphones, because, well, we're about to cook. 47, lap 67 of 71. Sainz still lapping around here, even though he's got a 5-second time penalty and a drive-through penalty to his name. Still trying to overtake Lance Stroll, and, well, he's been quite successful with it, isn't he? Our driver of the day vote split looks like it's 40% to Behrman, 12% to Max, and 11% to Lando Norris. I've got to say, Ollie Behrman clearly is our driver of the day. He has done a fantastic job in a Haas that, according to the race pace sims, is 8 tenths off the pace, 8 full tenths. Yet he is there, lapping the same laps as Oscar Piastri, lapping slightly quicker than Max Verstappen. Huge, huge props to Ollie Behrman. All right, 5 laps remain, ladies and gents. I'm going to have a quick sip of water because this is about to get very, very intense. Piastri 1.2 is the gap. Verstappen 1.5 is the gap. This is about to get very, very exciting. All right, here we go. Oscar Piastri makes his way through the middle sector. The McLaren is fantastically composed through the middle sector. Looks stable as ever. Oscar Piastri's figured out a few tricks to keep that McLaren under control around this circuit, keep the tyre temperatures in check as well. And he makes his way through the stadium section now, following Oliver Bearman through. Can he reduce that gap down? No, he can't. However, there will be something out ahead of him to help him out. Franco Colapinto and Pierre Gasly have been battling away. However, they are currently under threat of being lapped, and that is going to give Oliver Bearman a little bit of dirty air as he enters the middle sector on this current lap of lap number 68 of 71, which means that Bearman is, well, probably going to lose a little bit of time, and, well, there we go. He doesn't even need the dirty air through the middle sector. Oscar Piastri is now within his DRS range. Here we go. Max Verstappen further up the field. 1.2 seconds is the gap between himself and Charles Leclerc. Is Ferrari going to be able to hang on to second position, or will they not? Okay, folks, if you're near the subscribe button, be sure to do so. Hopefully you can make our way towards 210k subscribers. That would be very epic indeed. So yeah, be sure to subscribe. Hopefully you can make our way towards 210k. Rick Ralby, thanks for the $1 donation. And one thing I'd like to mention, since we've got 50,000 people tuned in, big shout out to all of my channel members. All of my channel members have contributed maybe £1, $1, €1 a month to help out the channel. Allows me to keep giving you, like, the guys, the best commentary ever. You know, I've got a new laptop to make sure that the streams don't crash, new microphone to make sure I sound awesome, new webcam. So big shout out to the channel members, but that is all from it. We're on lap number 69 of 71, which is very nice indeed, and Oscar Piastri has now got DRS on Oliver Bearman. Max Verstappen has got DRS on Charles Leclerc as well. He dipped into the DRS zone, and, well, here we go. 3 laps left to go, 12 kilometers of racing. Oscar Piastri is within 4/10 of Oliver Bearman. Traffic is going to cause some issues here. Colapinto gets out of the way for both of them. Yes, he does. In towards turn number 4, Colapinto gets out of the way. Gasly will have to do the same as they head towards the middle sector. Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen, it's a straight fight for second position between these two drivers. This is going to help out Max Verstappen quite significantly in the championship. An extra 3 points could be the deciding factor, and yeah, it's going to be very, very close indeed. Oh, we've got a yellow. We've got a double yellow through the stadium section. What is that? Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz has stopped at the stadium section. Is that a safety car? Is that a VSC? The DRS zone has been disabled in towards the stadium, and Carlos Sainz has stopped. The Williams, I said he should probably just retire. It's not worth carrying on. And Sainz has brought out the yellow flag when things are about to get very, very spicy. They still are. Verstappen has got DRS on Charles Leclerc. Leclerc has to go defensive in towards turn number 1, and as they head towards turn number 3, can Max Verstappen get ahead of Charles Leclerc? He is all over the back of him. He tucks into the slipstream. He's too far back on this occasion. We've also got Oscar Piastri right on Bearman's tail, but the traffic helped him out ever so slightly. We're on 2 laps remain of this race, and well, here comes Max Verstappen against Charles Leclerc. It is so close. Oh, VSC is going to come out. I think VSC is probably going to come out and neutralize the race. Carlos Sainz, we're having a battle of a lifetime here, and he's just brought out the VSC, I think. Yep, Carlos Sainz is retired, and the VSC is out. 2 laps remain of this race. The other thing I'd like to point out, folks, the race is not over just yet. If the drivers, let's say Max gets the jump on Charles Leclerc with the VSC Delta, he will overtake him on the next lap of racing. Same thing for Oliver Bearman and Oscar Piastri. So both drivers focusing on their delta as much as they possibly can, trying to keep it on 0 as much as they possibly can. It is technically the final lap of the race, but Norris is 41 seconds up the road. We've still got Leclerc and Verstappen behind them, and then even further back we've got Bearman and Piastri. All right, chaos in Mexico. Carlos Sainz, of course, who won this race last year, is is DNFing from the race. The VSC is still out, ladies and gentlemen, on the final lap of the race. Lando Norris is 35 seconds clear, and Verstappen is right there at every single moment trying to get ahead of Leclerc. Are we getting a VSC ending at any point in time? We've got probably around a minute and 50 seconds here, folks. Minute and 50 seconds till we go racing again. Well, till the race ends, but let's see. They're starting the final lap. They've just declared the track sector's clear. VSC ending, ladies and gentlemen. VSC is ending. Does Piastri get a good exit out of turn number 3? Can Verstappen overtake Leclerc going into turn number 12? We have got 2 kilometers left for the drivers. VSC ends, and here we are. We are racing. Lando Norris makes his way through the stadium section. What a domination it has been from him. He wins the Grand Prix, and if Piastri can't overtake Oliver Behrman, then Lando Norris takes the lead of the championship as well. Simply lovely from Lando Norris, and he is 34 seconds clear. Here they go in towards turn number 12. Charles Leclerc versus Max Verstappen. He is super duper late on the brakes. He's practically pushing Charles Leclerc through the final sector, but Max is just too far back to get something done. Charles Leclerc a little squirrely on the throttle, but it seems to be a Ferrari podium here in Mexico City. They won here last year. This year they get a podium. Great to see from the Ferrari team. Max Verstappen is in 3rd position, which helps out his championship chances. Oliver Behrman with a career best finish with a Haas's best finish as well. Oscar Piastri in 5th place, goes up 2 places, but still not good enough from the Australian. We've got Kimi Antonelli in 6th. George Russell in 7th. Lewis Hamilton with a 10-second time penalty ruining his entire race is down into 8th. Then we've got Ocon in 9th, Bortoleto in 10th. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you all for tuning in. It has been a very, very big pleasure commentating to all of you guys. And yeah, it's been quite the eventful race. I'm going to put the standings up on the screen so you guys can see what the championship is looking like. In fact, let me just put up all of the standings. You can see McLaren gains 35 points there. Ferrari up 22 points. So they actually are 1 point ahead of Mercedes in the Constructors' title. And Lando Norris is also 1 point ahead of Oscar Piastri in the Drivers' title. So thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm going to end the stream. It's going to take you over to the sprint race for the race in Brazil. It's going to be an absolutely incredible sprint with, again, 8 points on offer. And yeah, you guys have got to tune in for that one because it's just going to be simply lovely between Max. It's his best circuit. The Red Bull may not be the quickest, but Max will be there. Norris is going to be good, and so will Piastri. The championship fight is on, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you all for tuning in. It's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, be sure to do so. And what I'm going to do now is end the stream. I'll take you over to the sprint race stream. Hit the like button and the reminder button. Helps out the channel a huge, huge, huge amount. Okay. Bye-bye, folks. Have a wonderful morning, evening, or night, depending on where you are in the world. And it'll be 2 weeks till the sprint race in Brazil. Bye-bye.